Beneath the still surface of your skin lies a world in motion. Even now, as you breathe slowly, the muscles between your ribs expand and contract with perfect rhythm. When you shift slightly in bed or tilt your head toward the pillow, hundreds of tiny fibers lengthen and shorten in coordination. This quiet, continuous motion forms the foundation of human life, the dance of skeletal muscles, the silent machinery of movement that sustains us from our first breath to our last. To understand the muscular body is to understand the poetry of motion itself. Every gesture, every heartbeat, every whisper depends on muscle tissue working in harmony. While the heart and smooth muscles serve their own vital roles deep within the body, it is the skeletal muscles, the ones that wrap around bones, shape our form, and respond to our will that give life its graceful choreography. They are the instruments of expression and stability, pulling on bone and tendon to transform thought into action. They move our limbs, lift our eyes toward the sky, and hold us upright against the pull of gravity. The human body contains more than 600 individual skeletal muscles. Yet despite their strength, they are delicate in design, woven with care into a network of tissues and nerves. Each muscle is made of countless fibers, long, thread-like cells capable of shortening and lengthening in response to electrical impulses. When viewed through a microscope, these fibers reveal a pattern of fine striations. Muscles are organs of both power and precision. They can lift heavy loads, but they can also adjust by mere fractions of a millimeter. The same tissue that allows an athlete to leap into the air also enables a sculptor to guide a brush across a canvas with near weightless control. This versatility comes from the intricate way muscles are organized, bundles within bundles, fibers grouped into fascicles, wrapped in layers of connective tissue that give both support and flexibility. The result is a living system capable of strength, subtlety, and endurance. To move a single finger requires not one muscle, but many. Flexors and extensors coordinate in pairs, pulling in opposite directions yet working together in harmony. Deeper stabilizing muscles hold the wrist steady, while others within the hand itself fine-tune each motion. Behind it all, nerves relay rapid messages from the brain, carrying electrical signals that tell the muscles when to contract, when to rest, and how much force to apply. Every motion, no matter how small, is a conversation between the nervous system and the muscular system, a dialogue so fast and seamless that it feels effortless. Even stillness depends on movement. When you sit upright, when you lie quietly, when you drift toward sleep, muscles remain active, maintaining posture and alignment. They contract just enough to balance your body's weight, to stabilize the spine, to keep the head supported in its natural position. This subtle background activity is known as muscle tone, a constant readiness that allows for smooth motion at any moment. The body, even at rest, is never truly still. It hums with low, steady energy, a symphony of microscopic contractions that together maintain equilibrium. Imagine the early stages of life, before the first conscious thought, before the first deliberate movement. Long before birth, the earliest muscle fibers begin to form from clusters of specialized cells. These primitive fibers lengthen, align, and eventually connect to the developing skeleton. Even before the mind is aware, the body begins to prepare for motion. By the time we take our first breath, the muscular system is ready, small, eager to work. The act of drawing air into the lungs, that first simple motion, is itself a muscular event. The diaphragm lowers, the rib cage expands, and the rhythm of life begins. Through childhood, the muscles grow stronger and more coordinated. They learn through repetition, crawling, grasping, standing, walking. Each motion trains the nervous system, refining pathways that allow for smoother, more efficient control. Movement, in this way, is both a teacher and a student. It shapes the body even as the body learns to move. As we age, The same tissues that once guided us across playgrounds become instruments of expression. A handshake, a smile, the steady rise and fall of breath during rest. The relationship between skeletal muscles and bones is intimate. Muscles attached to bones by tendons, strong bands of collagen that transmit the force of contraction. Where one muscle shortens, a bone moves. Provides leverage, the muscles provide power, and together they create the remarkable range of motion that defines human movement. Without muscles, bones would be motionless structures. Without bones, muscles would have nothing to pull against. When viewed as a whole, the muscular system is both a mechanical and a biological marvel. Each muscle contains blood vessels to deliver oxygen and remove waste, lymphatic channels to carry away fluids, and nerve endings to sense, stretch, and tension. When a muscle contracts, millions of molecular interactions occur in perfect unison. The sliding filaments inside each cell shift by nanometers at a time, creating macroscopic motion we can see and feel. What seems simple on the surface, a nod, a step, a breath, is the result of unimaginable coordination at the smallest scales. Yet, despite this complexity, the muscular system operates quietly, without drawing attention. It works whether we notice it or not, adapting constantly to our needs. When we walk uphill, leg muscles automatically increase their effort. When we reach out to grasp a delicate object, the hand reduces its force just enough to avoid crushing it. The muscles sense resistance, adjust their output, and balance the load in real time. This responsiveness, this fine-tuned adaptability, is what makes human movement so fluid and efficient. Over a lifetime, our muscles tell the story of how we have lived. They adapt to our habits, reflecting the ways we move and the postures we hold most often. A dancer's calves grow strong and defined from years of balance and lift. A writer's shoulders may tighten from long hours of sitting and focus. Even without words, the body remembers. It carries the traces of motion in every fiber, in every pattern of strength and tension. As you lie here now, surrounded by stillness, those same fibers continue their quiet work. The diaphragm rises and falls with each breath, drawing air into the lungs and releasing it again. The small muscles of the neck hold the head in gentle alignment. The slow rhythm of the heartbeat echoes through the chest, driven by muscular contraction deep within. All around, subtle adjustments keep the body at peace, balanced and steady. To study the skeletal muscles is to glimpse the profound intelligence of the human body. It is a system that blends structure and function so seamlessly that we rarely pause to think about it. Yet the moment we stop, the moment we grow still and listen, we can sense its presence, the gentle tension of the shoulders, the calm expansion of the chest, the faint warmth in the arms and legs. The body hums softly, alive with motion and quiet strength. As this lecture unfolds, we will journey deeper into this world of living motion, exploring how muscles are built, how they work, how they interact with one another and with the nervous system. We will travel across the body, from the small muscles of the face that shape a smile, to the powerful bands of the legs that carry us through the world. We will see how structure gives rise to grace, how effort gives way to balance, and how every fiber contributes to the harmony of life. For now, you might let your attention rest gently on your breath. Notice the subtle rise and fall, the quiet strength behind each inhale. Beneath that rhythm lies the work of muscles silent, steady, devoted. They have carried you through every day of your life, through motion and stillness alike. And as you begin to drift into rest, they continue their patient task, holding you, supporting you, and reminding you, without a word, of the deep and graceful intelligence within the human body. 2. The essence of muscle tissue. The human body is composed of many kinds of tissues, each with a unique function and texture. but none are quite as alive in motion as muscle. Muscle is the great mover, the silent engine that transforms energy into motion and gives the body both power and grace. When we speak, when we breathe, when we simply open our eyes to the morning light, muscle tissue is there, pulling, releasing, adjusting with quiet precision. It is a living fabric that never fully sleeps, maintaining the rhythms that keep life in motion. There are three distinct kinds of muscle tissue within the human body, each serving its own role within the intricate symphony of physiology. These three are skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. They differ in structure, in control, and in where they live within the body, yet they share a single unifying trait, the ability to contract. This one ability underlies nearly every action of life, from the beating of the heart to the blink of an eye. Skeletal muscle, the focus of our journey, is the most familiar of the three. It is the kind that clings to the bones, forming the contours of the body and enabling voluntary motion. Every stride, every stretch, every deliberate movement depends on it. It is called skeletal because it attaches to the skeleton, and it is described as voluntary because we can consciously control it. When you decide to reach out, skeletal muscle responds to your intent almost instantly. Its fibers contract in precise patterns, guided by the brain and spinal cord through a web of nerves that serve as messengers. The cooperation between mind and muscle is so seamless that it feels automatic, yet it is one of the most remarkable feats of biological engineering ever conceived. If skeletal muscle is the servant of will, smooth muscle is the quiet custodian of the body's internal world. It lines the walls of hollow organs, the stomach, the intestines, the blood vessels, and the airways, and it works without conscious direction. When you eat, smooth muscle contracts in slow, wave-like motions. Adjust the width of the bronchi, regulating the flow of air into the lungs. When the body needs to conserve heat, smooth muscle in the skin's tiny blood vessels constricts, guiding blood away from the surface. These motions are involuntary, their rhythm set by the body's internal control systems. You do not feel them or command them, but they work ceaselessly to sustain you. Then there is the heart, a muscle so specialized that it deserves a category of its own. Cardiac muscle is found only within the walls of the heart, and like skeletal muscle, it bears striations under a microscope. Yet unlike skeletal muscle, it is not under conscious control. It contracts rhythmically and continuously, guided by the heart's own internal electrical system. The cells of cardiac muscle are connected end-to-end by junctions called intercalated discs, which allow impulses to pass swiftly from one cell to the next. This creates the coordinated beating that propels blood through the body, second after second, year after year. Even in sleep, even in silence, the cardiac muscle continues its steady pulse, carrying oxygen and nutrients to every living cell. All three muscle types, skeletal, smooth, and cardiac, are built from the same fundamental design. They consist of long, elongated cells known as fibers, each capable of shortening when stimulated. Inside each fiber lies an intricate arrangement of proteins that slide past one another during contraction. This sliding filament mechanism is the essence of all muscular movement. Two key proteins, actin and myosin, are responsible for this motion. When calcium ions flood the cell, they trigger a series of molecular interactions that cause these filaments to overlap more closely, shortening the muscle fiber and generating force. When the signal stops, the calcium is reabsorbed, the filaments slide apart again, and the muscle relaxes. This constant interplay, contraction and release, shortening and lengthening, forms the physical foundation of life itself. The difference between the three muscle types lies in how they are arranged and controlled. Skeletal muscle fibers are long and cylindrical, often stretching the entire length of a muscle. Their striations, those alternating light and dark bands, are due to the organized alignment of actin and myosin filaments within. In contrast, smooth muscle fibers are shorter, spindle-shaped, and contain only a single nucleus. They lack visible striations because their internal filaments are arranged in a less regular pattern, allowing them to contract in all directions, squeezing rather than pulling. Cardiac muscle falls somewhere between the two, striated like skeletal muscle but branching and interconnected like a living network. Skeletal muscles are commanded by the somatic nervous system, the branch of the nervous system that allows voluntary control. These neurons extend from the spinal cord to the muscle fibers, forming specialized connections known as neuromuscular junctions. When a neuron fires, it releases a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which binds to receptors on the muscle cell's surface. This binding opens channels that allow sodium ions to enter, setting off an electrical impulse that races along the fiber's membrane and deep into its interior. Within moments, the muscle contracts a wave of motion born from an invisible electrical spark. Smooth and cardiac muscles, by contrast, are controlled by the autonomic nervous system, which governs involuntary processes. You cannot will your stomach to digest more quickly or your heart to beat slower on command. Yet through subtle chemical messengers and reflex pathways, the body regulates these activities with exquisite precision. In moments of rest, the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic system slows the heart and promotes digestion. In moments of stress, the sympathetic branch takes over, quickening the pulse and redirecting blood flow to the muscles needed for action. These two systems balance one another, maintaining harmony between activity and repose. The differences in control and structure make each muscle type uniquely suited to its purpose. Skeletal muscles are fast and powerful, designed for brief, forceful contractions that move the limbs. Smooth muscles are slow and steady, designed for endurance rather than strength, their rhythmic waves continuing unbroken for hours or even days. Cardiac muscle occupies a delicate balance between these extremes, beating with both strength and stamina, its rhythm constant but flexible enough to respond to the needs of the body. All of these tissues are nourished by the same circulatory network. Arteries bring oxygen-rich blood to feed the active fibers, and veins carry away carbon dioxide and waste. Muscles, especially skeletal muscles, are thirsty tissues, consuming large amounts of oxygen and nutrients whenever they contract. During rest, they store reserves of energy in the form of glycogen and creatine phosphate, waiting to be called upon when motion begins again. Even when still, skeletal muscle contributes to the body's metabolism, generating heat and maintaining balance within. There is something profoundly elegant about the way muscle tissue bridges thought and action. In skeletal muscle, an abstract decision in the mind to move, to reach, to stand, becomes a tangible motion in the body. In smooth and cardiac muscle, life continues without command, an unbroken rhythm sustained by the body's own wisdom. The muscles listen to signals that are both chemical and electrical, microscopic and immense. Together, they form a living network of cooperation, a balance between intention and instinct. If we were to look closely at a single muscle cell, down to the molecular level, we would see constant motion, calcium ions drifting in and out of storage, protein filaments sliding with delicate precision, mitochondria producing energy in quiet abundance. The scene is one of endless activity and order, invisible to the naked eye but essential to existence. Multiply this by billions, and you have the human body a collection of fibers, each performing its task, each contributing to the whole. As night deepens and the body grows still, the heart continues its calm beating. The lungs rise and fall through the labor of smooth muscle. Skeletal muscles maintain the posture of rest. This ceaseless activity sustains life through every sleeping hour. The essence of muscle tissue, then, is not just movement, but continuity, the ability to bridge effort and rest, action, and stillness. It is the quiet strength that holds us together and carries us through the world. In the chapters that follow, we will travel deeper into this world of living motion, exploring the intricate structure of skeletal muscle and the countless ways it shapes the human form. But for now, it is enough to know that within you, beneath the calm surface of skin, lies a universe of motion, the soft, steady hum of fibers that have worked without rest since the moment you began to live. 3. The building blocks of skeletal muscle. Beneath the skin, deeper than the layers of fat and connective tissue, the skeletal muscles form a living framework of movement. To the eye, a muscle might seem like a single, solid piece, a shape that flexes, swells, and relaxes, but under magnification, it reveals a world of structure arranged with an elegance that borders on perfection. Every motion you make, every breath and gesture, begins within this microscopic landscape. Here, within the fibers of skeletal muscle, lie the true engines of movement, life to motion. Each skeletal muscle is made of bundles, and within those bundles are still smaller bundles, folded like pages within pages of a book. The outer layer of a muscle is sheathed in a thin, transparent covering called the epimysium, a layer of connective tissue that keeps the muscle together and separates it from its neighbors. Inside this wrapping, the muscle divides into compartments known as fascicles, and each fascicle contains many muscle fibers, the true contractile cells. Around each fascicle runs another layer, the perimysium, and within it, each individual fiber is enclosed by its own delicate wrapping, the endomysium. These layers provide both structure and protection. They also carry blood vessels and nerves deep into the muscle, ensuring that each cell receives oxygen and can respond instantly to the body's commands. A single muscle fiber is a slender cylinder, often as long as several centimeters, and only a fraction of a millimeter thick. Unlike most cells in the body, muscle fibers contain multiple nuclei, scattered along their length just beneath the membrane. These nuclei are remnants of the cells that fuse together during development to create one long, continuous fiber, a syncytium of living matter built for endurance. Within this fiber lies the machinery of contraction, an intricate system of proteins and membranes known as myofibrils. Each muscle fiber contains hundreds or even thousands of these myofibrils, long thread-like structures that run parallel to the length of the cell. Under the microscope, they appear striated, marked with alternating light and dark bands. These bands are not just patterns. They represent the arrangement of the filaments that actually produce movement. Within each myofibril, repeating units called sarcomeres line up end to end, forming the smallest functional units of contraction. The sarcomere is to the muscle what the brick is to a wall, small in itself, but capable of great strength when multiplied in number. A sarcomere is bounded on either side by thin lines known as Z-discs. Between these discs stretch the interlocking filaments of actin and myosin, two proteins that together create the mechanism of contraction. Actin forms the thin filaments, arranged in neat, parallel strands, while myosin forms the thick filaments, equipped with tiny projections called heads. During contraction, these myosin heads reach out, attach to the actin filaments, and pull them inward, sliding them past one another. This movement shortens the sarcomere, and when millions of sarcomeres shorten in unison, the entire muscle contracts. The process is often called the sliding filament theory, and it describes one of the most elegant mechanical systems found in nature. What makes it remarkable is its precision. Each actin filament is lined with binding sites, carefully arranged like steps on a ladder. Each myosin head attaches only when calcium ions and energy are available, pulling in, rhythmic cycles attaching, pivoting, releasing, and reattaching. These cycles can occur up to several times per second, powered by the breakdown of adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, the universal energy currency of life. When a muscle is at rest, a molecule called tropomyosin blocks the binding sites on actin, preventing contraction. When a signal arrives from the nervous system, calcium ions are released from an internal reservoir within the muscle fiber called the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The calcium binds to another protein, troponin, which shifts the tropomyosin aside, exposing the actin's binding sites. Myosin heads then attach, forming what are called cross bridges, and the sliding begins. When the nerve signal ceases, calcium is pumped back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The cross bridges detach, and the muscle relaxes. This entire process, the transition from rest to motion and back again, happens in less than the blink of an eye. Surrounding the myofibrils is a specialized form of cell fluid called the sarcoplasm. It contains mitochondria, the cell's powerhouses, which generate ATP to fuel contraction. It also holds glycogen for stored energy and myoglobin, a pigment that binds oxygen, giving muscle its red hue and ensuring that oxygen is available during effort. The cell membrane of the muscle fiber, known as the sarcolemma, is a highly responsive barrier that can conduct electrical impulses. It folds inward at intervals to form structures called tubules, which carry electrical signals deep into the fiber, triggering the release of calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The result is a synchronized contraction that involves every part of the muscle cell at once. The coordination of this process is astonishing. From the instant the brain sends an electrical impulse, the sequence unfolds with seamless timing. The signal travels down the nerve, crosses the neuromuscular junction through the release of acetylcholine, spreads along the sarcolemma, dives into the tubules, releases calcium, and sets the filaments into motion. The entire muscle responds as one, every fiber shortening in harmony with the others. In this way, what begins as a thought becomes a tangible action, a motion you can see and feel. Not all muscle fibers are identical, however. There are two main types of skeletal muscle fibers, each suited to a different style of movement. Slow twitch fibers, also called type I fibers, are rich in mitochondria and myoglobin. They rely primarily on aerobic metabolism, using oxygen to generate energy efficiently, but slowly. These fibers are designed for endurance, for maintaining posture and performing long, sustained activities. Fast twitch fibers, or type 2 fibers, have fewer mitochondria and depend more on anaerobic pathways, generating rapid bursts of power but tiring quickly. These are the fibers that spring into action during sprinting, lifting, or sudden movement. Fiber types, their proportions varying according to genetics and training. When a muscle is used frequently, its fibers respond by growing thicker and increasing their stores of energy and protein, a process known as hypertrophy. When unused, they shrink and weaken, conserving resources. This adaptability allows the body to respond to the demands of daily life, growing stronger with use and yielding gently to rest. Every detail of the muscle's structure serves a purpose. The connective tissues transmit force from the fibers to the tendons, which in turn pull on bones. The arrangement of fascicles determines the muscle's shape and function. Some run parallel, allowing smooth, long contractions, while others are pinnate, with fibers angled like feathers for greater strength. Even the vascular network within the muscle is finely tuned, expanding during activity to deliver more oxygen and contracting afterward to return the body to balance. In all this complexity, the beauty of skeletal muscle lies in its unity. Billions of microscopic actions, each governed by chemical and electrical laws, combine to produce the effortless grace of movement. It is a system that balances strength and delicacy, speed and control. From the smallest twitch of an eyelid to the powerful stride of a runner, it all begins within these same cellular patterns, within the quiet, ordered architecture of fibers and filaments. If you were to listen closely to your own body now, you might sense that silent hum beneath your skin, the gentle contractions that steady your breathing, the small adjustments that keep you comfortable, These are the echoes of the molecular dance taking place within every muscle fiber. It is a choreography so ancient, so constant, that it continues even in sleep, maintaining the heartbeat, the rhythm of respiration, the subtle balance that keeps you whole. To understand the building blocks of skeletal muscle is to glimpse the foundation of life in motion. Each sarcomere, each filament, each thread-like fiber contributes to the miracle of movement. It is a system both mechanical and organic, mathematical and alive, a living network of strength, energy, and design. And though it works unseen, its presence is always with you, guiding every step, shaping every motion, and sustaining the quiet harmony of the human body. 4. Layers of structure and support. Every skeletal muscle in the human body is more than a bundle of fibers. It is an organized architecture of living tissue, wrapped, connected, and supported by layers that give it both form and resilience. These connective coverings, though often overlooked, are essential to the muscle's ability to perform its work. They create boundaries that give definition, transmit force from cell to bone, and allow the muscle to glide smoothly alongside its neighbors. Structural layers. Movement would lose its coordination, power would dissipate, and even the simplest motion would falter. The balance between strength and suppleness in the body depends entirely on this system of organization. At first glance, a muscle seems singular, one continuous shape that flexes as a unit. But deep within it, there are levels of complexity woven together like the fibers of a fine tapestry. Each level serves a purpose, contributing to the muscle's function and stability. Around the entire muscle lies a tough but flexible outer layer, known as the epimysium. It is made of dense collagen fibers that encase the muscle, anchoring it to surrounding tissues and protecting it from friction as it moves. This sheath defines the muscle's outer contour, giving it a smooth, cohesive surface, while allowing the interior fibers to slide and stretch. It is the first of 3 connective layers, each one finer and more intimate than the last. Inside the epimysium, the muscle is divided into bundles called fascicles. Each fascicle is surrounded by its own covering, the perimysium. The perimysium is less dense, allowing space for blood vessels and nerves to enter. Within its soft matrix, the delicate network of capillaries branches and spreads, delivering oxygen and nutrients to every fiber. It helps distribute tension evenly when the muscle contracts, ensuring that no single fiber bears the full strain. When you lift your arm or rise from a chair, thousands of fibers must act together. Within each fascicle lies the smallest unit of visible structure, the muscle fiber itself. Every fiber, though microscopic in diameter, is enclosed in a tender film of connective tissue called the endomysium. The endomysium is so fine that it can only be seen under magnification, yet it is one of the most vital components of muscle design. It holds each fiber in place, supports the exchange of nutrients, and allows neighboring fibers to work in harmony. Between the endomysium and the fiber's surface, a thin layer of extracellular fluid cushions and nourishes the cell, providing the ions and oxygen necessary for contraction. These 3 layers, the epimysium, perimysium, and endomysium, create a continuous system from the outermost surface down to the smallest cell. They do not simply wrap the muscle, they integrate it into the rest of the body. At the muscle's ends, these layers converge and fuse to form tendons, dense cords of collagen that anchor the muscle to bone. When the fibers contract, the force travels through these connective pathways, pulling on the tendon and moving the skeleton. The transition from soft tissue to tendon to bone is seamless, each layer merging into the next with gradual changes in texture and strength. It is a remarkable example of biological engineering, flexible yet unbreakable, strong yet elastic. Collagen, the primary structural protein, provides tensile strength, while elastin fibers add flexibility. The balance between the two allows muscles to endure repeated stretching and contraction without damage. Within the matrix of collagen and elastin are embedded fibroblasts, the living cells that produce and maintain the connective tissue. These cells continuously repair small tears and replace aging fibers, keeping the muscle coverings healthy throughout life. The rate of this renewal may slow with age, but the process never stops. Even during rest, fibroblasts quietly weave new threads of collagen. Blood vessels run within and around these connective layers, branching into a dense capillary network that embraces each muscle fiber. This intricate web ensures that oxygen and glucose are always within reach. During exertion, the vessels expand, increasing flow to meet the heightened demand. When activity ceases, they constrict again, maintaining balance. Alongside the blood vessels travel lymphatic channels that drain excess fluid. Nerves accompany these same paths, sending messages from the brain and spinal cord, their fine endings reaching every corner of the muscle. It is through this unified system, connective tissue, blood, and nerve, that the muscle lives, breathes, and responds. The structure of these layers also contributes to the graceful coordination of movement. Muscles do not work in isolation. They must slide past one another smoothly. The outermost surface of the epimysium often blends with a thin membrane called the fascia. The fascia reduces friction, allowing independent movement while maintaining overall alignment. When you rotate your arm, the biceps and triceps shift in opposite directions, yet their surfaces glide effortlessly because of this connective film. It acts as a silent mediator between forces, ensuring that the motion of one muscle does not hinder another. In some regions, the fascia thickens into broad sheets known as aponeuroses, which serve as tendinous connections over wide areas. The abdominal muscles, for instance, are bound together by such structures, their flat tendons overlapping like silk ribbons. These sheets distribute tension broadly, enabling coordinated contractions that stabilize the core. They are part of the same connective continuum that begins with the delicate endomysium and extends outward to the skin. Every level is linked, each transition so natural that it is impossible to say precisely where one layer ends and another begins. When a muscle contracts, the movement does not occur within a vacuum. The connective layers stretch and recoil slightly, storing and releasing elastic energy. This elasticity contributes to efficiency, allowing the muscle to conserve energy and return smoothly to its resting length. Imagine walking. As your foot strikes the ground, certain muscles stretch under the load, storing tension within their connective tissues. As you push off again, that stored energy is released, propelling you forward with minimal effort. It is a cycle repeated thousands of times each day, unnoticed yet essential to the rhythm of life. The interplay of structure and motion in skeletal muscle mirrors nature's broader pattern strength born of flexibility, stability achieved through movement. Every fiber, every sheath, participates in this balance. The outer layers protect and transmit force. The inner layers nourish and connect. Together they create a fabric that is at once strong, adaptive, and alive. The same design that allows an athlete to sprint also allows a sleeping person to breathe quietly, their diaphragm and intercostal muscles expanding and relaxing in steady rhythm. These structural layers are not static. They adapt constantly to the demands placed upon them. In response to physical activity, the connective tissue becomes stronger and more resilient. With disuse, it softens, its fibers less tightly organized. Injury triggers a complex repair process. Fibroblasts rush to rebuild torn collagen, forming scar tissue that restores continuity, though sometimes at the cost of flexibility. Massage, stretching, and gentle movement all play a role in maintaining the suppleness of these layers, keeping the body's fabric smooth and responsive. What is perhaps most remarkable is how these microscopic structures contribute to something as simple as comfort. The ease of sitting upright The lightness of lifting an arm, the feeling of stability as you stand, all depend on the cooperation of tissues that you cannot see or feel directly. They are the quiet framework beneath awareness, the scaffolding that makes every gesture possible. As the body rests, these connective layers do not cease their function. Blood still moves through their narrow channels. Fibroblasts continue their slow, patient repairs. Muscles maintain a gentle tension against them. In the stillness of sleep, the fascia and sheaths hold the body together, maintaining alignment, keeping the bones in their natural positions. They are, in a sense, the body's silent guardians, flexible armor that supports without constraining, that moves with the flesh it protects. To understand the layers of structure and support within muscle is to see the harmony between form and function. Nothing is wasted, and nothing is random. Every fiber, every sheath, every thread of collagen contributes to the stability and grace of the human frame. Beneath the smooth surface of skin lies this intricate system, invisible yet indispensable, strong yet yielding, enduring yet alive. It is within these quiet, connective layers that the story of motion begins, the story of how the body holds itself together, how it balances force and stillness, and how it transforms structure into the effortless beauty of movement. 5. The physiology of contraction movement, though it appears simple on the surface, is the result of a sequence of events so refined and intricate that it resembles a symphony at the molecular level. The physiology of muscle contraction is one of nature's most astonishing processes, a series of coordinated signals and reactions that transform thought into motion. When you decide to lift your hand, a chain of events unfolds that bridges the abstract world of intention with the tangible realm of action. Within a fraction of a second, electrical impulses, chemical messengers, and microscopic structures unite in perfect rhythm to create force, all without conscious effort or visible strain. The motor cortex, a region dedicated to movement, generates an electrical impulse whenever voluntary action is required. This impulse travels down long nerve fibers that descend through the spinal cord and out into the body, carried by motor neurons. Each neuron acts as a messenger, its branches reaching specific muscles, sometimes even individual fibers. The connection point between a nerve and a muscle fiber is known as the neuromuscular junction, a meeting place where the nervous system speaks the language of chemistry. When the electrical signal reaches the end of a motor neuron, it cannot simply jump to the muscle. Instead, it triggers the release of a chemical messenger called acetylcholine. This neurotransmitter diffuses across the narrow synaptic gap and binds to receptors on the muscle fiber's membrane, the sarcolemma. The moment acetylcholine binds, channels open, allowing sodium ions to rush into the muscle cell. This sudden influx generates a tiny electrical current and action potential which travels swiftly along the sarcolemma, racing toward the interior of the cell. At the surface, it travels down narrow passageways, called transverse tubules, or tubules, which weave deep into the muscle fiber. These tubules act as conduits, ensuring that the electrical message reaches every part of the cell simultaneously. As the wave moves inward, it triggers the release of calcium ions from a storage network surrounding each myofibril, the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Like a sudden spark, the release of calcium marks the true beginning of contraction. Inside each myofibril, the stage is already set. The actin and myosin filaments lie in parallel, waiting for the signal to begin their dance. At rest, a molecule known as tropomyosin blocks the binding sites on actin, keeping the filaments from interacting. When calcium floods into the cell, it binds to a companion molecule called troponin, which shifts the tropomyosin aside, uncovering the binding sites. Now, the myosin heads can attach, forming what are called cross bridges, tiny links between thick and thin filaments. This connection is the essence of contraction. Once attached, Each myosin head pivots, pulling the actin filament toward the center of the sarcomere. This motion is powered by the breakdown of adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, which provides the energy for the movement. After the power stroke, the myosin head detaches, binds a new ATP molecule, and prepares to repeat the process. In a single contraction, each myosin head can perform this cycle dozens of times, creating a continuous sliding motion. Millions of such interactions occur at once, shortening the sarcomeres, then the myofibrils, then the entire muscle fiber. The result is visible movement, a lifting of the arm, a step forward, a heartbeat. The beauty of this mechanism lies not only in its precision but also in its reversibility. As soon as the nervous system stops sending signals, the flow of calcium ceases. Pumps within the sarcoplasmic reticulum actively draw calcium ions back into storage, using more ATP to reset the system. Without calcium to hold the binding sites open, tropomyosin shifts back into place, blocking the actin filaments and halting the sliding motion. The myosin heads release their grip, and the muscle returns to its resting length. This restoration happens as smoothly as contraction itself, a return to stillness, ready for the next signal. The entire process, from nerve impulse to relaxation, takes mere thousandths of a second. Yet it is controlled with astonishing precision. The strength of a contraction depends on how many motor units, groups of muscle fibers controlled by a single motor neuron, are activated at once. In delicate movements, such as writing or picking up a glass, only a few motor units are engaged. This graduated response allows the body to move with both strength and grace, never wasting energy and never losing control. At the cellular level, this process consumes a tremendous amount of energy. ATP, the molecule that powers contraction, must be continually replenished. Muscles maintain small stores of ATP, but they are quickly depleted during activity. To sustain motion, the cells rely on several pathways of energy production. The fastest method uses creatine phosphate, a high-energy compound stored within the muscle that can regenerate ATP almost instantly. This system provides a brief burst of power, but lasts only a few seconds. For longer activity, the muscle turns to glycolysis, the breakdown of glucose to produce ATP. This pathway can function without oxygen, but it also produces lactic acid, which accumulates during intense exercise and contributes to fatigue. When oxygen is plentiful, the muscle prefers a slower but more efficient process, aerobic respiration. Within the mitochondria, glucose and fatty acids are oxidized completely, generating large amounts of ATP. This oxygen-dependent system fuels sustained, moderate activity, such as walking, cycling, or breathing. The balance between these energy systems determines how long and how powerfully a muscle can contract before it must rest. During continuous contraction, other physiological changes occur as well. Blood flow increases to bring oxygen and remove carbon dioxide. The heart beats faster, and breathing deepens, ensuring that the muscles receive the nutrients they require. Inside the fibers, myoglobin stores oxygen like a reservoir, releasing it as needed to keep the mitochondria supplied. The interplay between oxygen, ATP, and calcium is constant, a quiet rhythm that persists as long as movement continues. Even when at rest, muscles maintain a faint background activity known as tone. This gentle tension keeps the body upright, stabilizing the joints and preserving posture. It is the product of small, alternating contractions within the fibers, orchestrated by low-level nerve signals. The tone of skeletal muscles never fully disappears. Even in sleep, a subtle level of contraction remains, maintaining the body's shape and balance. Only in complete unconsciousness or paralysis does this tone vanish entirely. At times, the precision of contraction can falter. Fatigue, for example, is a natural response to prolonged activity. As energy stores decline and metabolic byproducts accumulate, the efficiency of the sliding mechanism diminishes. The nervous system may also reduce the frequency of impulses, preventing overexertion. Cramps occur when this balance momentarily fails, causing sustained, involuntary contractions. Yet even these disruptions are temporary. The system restores itself quickly, ever resilient, ever prepared to move again. The physiology of contraction is a perfect illustration of cooperation within the body. It is a dialogue between the nervous, muscular, and circulatory systems, each one essential to the other. The brain initiates the signal, the nerves deliver it, the muscle interprets and acts upon it, and the blood supplies the energy to sustain it. Every step, every breath, every heartbeat relies on this relationship, a network of constant communication that continues for an entire lifetime. When viewed with quiet appreciation, this process seems almost meditative. The flow of ions, the pulse of electricity, the chemical transitions from rest to motion and back again, they form a rhythm as ancient as life itself. Long before the first creatures walked or flew, before hearts began to beat, the principle of contraction already existed in the earliest cells. It is one of biology's oldest languages, a way that living matter learned to respond to the world around it. In your own body, that same ancient rhythm persists. Each time you breathe, tiny filaments slide past one another in perfect coordination, drawing air into the lungs. Each beat of your heart, each turn of the head, each movement of the hand. Lie still. Countless microscopic contractions are at work, sustaining posture, circulating blood, keeping the body alive. Beneath the calm surface of rest, the physiology of contraction carries on, quiet and ceaseless, a whispering song of life woven into every fiber of your being. 6. Nerves, reflexes, and communication. Every motion of the human body begins not with muscle, but with communication. Before a finger twitches, before the diaphragm lifts a breath, an invisible message has already traveled from one cell to another, a thread of information carried by electricity and chemistry across a vast biological network. Muscles, for all their strength, do nothing without instruction. They are the instruments of motion, but the conductor is the nervous system. Together, they form an alliance of remarkable precision, where thought becomes movement and sensation becomes awareness. The human nervous system can be imagined as an intricate web, a living circuitry stretching from the brain through the spinal cord and branching into every muscle and organ. Within this network flow electrical impulses, traveling at extraordinary speed, faster than any conscious decision. The brain sends commands, the spinal cord relays them, and the nerves at the body's periphery deliver them directly to the muscles. It is a system of perfect timing, where billions of neurons fire in quiet synchrony, their signals moving effortlessly across microscopic gaps. Each neuron, or nerve cell, is shaped for communication. Its long, thread-like extensions, axons, carry impulses away from the cell body, while its delicate dendrites receive information from others. Between neurons, or between a neuron and a muscle fiber, lies a space known as a synapse. Here, communication depends not on direct contact, but on the release of chemicals called neurotransmitters. When an electrical impulse reaches the end of a neuron, tiny vesicles burst open, releasing these chemical messengers into the synaptic cleft. They drift across the gap, bind to receptors on the next cell, and continue the transmission. This process is repeated endlessly, a wave of electrochemical communication that allows the body to sense, think, and move. The connection between a motor neuron and a skeletal muscle fiber is called the neuromuscular junction, a point of exquisite precision. Each muscle fiber receives input from a single motor neuron, and that neuron may branch to control many fibers at once. Together, the neuron and all the fibers it commands form a motor unit. The size of the motor unit determines the control and strength of movement. In muscles requiring fine precision, such as those of the eyes or fingers, a motor neuron may control only a handful of fibers. In larger muscles, like those of the legs and back, one neuron may direct hundreds. This variation allows the body to balance delicacy with power, shifting seamlessly between gentle adjustments and powerful exertion. When a signal from the brain or spinal cord reaches the neuromuscular junction, the neuron releases acetylcholine into the narrow space between itself and the muscle fiber. This neurotransmitter binds to receptors on the sarcolemma, the muscle's surface membrane, creating an electrical impulse within the cell. This impulse, as described before, travels deep into the fiber, releasing calcium ions and triggering contraction. When the signal ceases, acetylcholine is broken down by an enzyme called acetylcholinesterase, ensuring that the muscle relaxes promptly. Without this precise timing, the release, binding, and removal of neurotransmitters, the body would lose control over its own motion. While voluntary movement begins in the brain, not all muscle activity requires conscious thought. The body possesses a second, more primal system of control, the reflex arc. Reflexes are automatic responses to stimuli, designed to protect and stabilize the body. They occur through direct pathways between sensory and motor neurons, often bypassing the brain entirely. A simple example is the patellar reflex, the familiar knee-jerk response. When the tendon just below the kneecap is tapped, sensory receptors within the muscle detect the sudden stretch and send a signal to the spinal cord. There, the signal immediately activates motor neurons that cause the quadriceps to contract, straightening the leg. The entire reaction happens in a fraction of a second, too quickly for conscious processing. Reflexes serve as the body's guardians, responding faster than thought. They maintain posture, regulate balance, and protect from harm. When you touch something hot, your hand withdraws before your mind has time to register pain. When you stumble, reflex pathways in the spinal cord adjust muscle tension to restore equilibrium. These automatic loops are ancient, evolved to keep the body safe and functional even when the conscious mind is unaware. Communication extends beyond will, that the nervous system acts constantly, maintaining vigilance over the body's stability. Beyond reflexes, there are subtler forms of communication between nerves and muscles that give rise to coordination. Every voluntary movement is actually a symphony of signals. When you decide to lift an arm, motor neurons activate the muscles responsible for flexing, while simultaneously inhibiting those that would oppose the motion. This balance between excitation and inhibition ensures smooth, controlled movement. It is achieved through feedback circuits that involve sensory receptors known as muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs. Muscle spindles are tiny sensors embedded within the muscle fibers themselves. They detect changes in muscle length and send information back to the spinal cord about how stretched or contracted the muscle is. When a muscle stretches too far, the spindle initiates a reflex contraction to prevent injury, a built-in mechanism of self-protection. Golgi tendon organs, located at the junction between muscle and tendon, monitor tension instead of length. If the force becomes too great, they send inhibitory signals that cause the muscle to relax, preventing damage from excessive strain. Together, these receptors allow muscles to adjust instantly to changes in load or position, creating the smooth flow of motion that defines coordinated movement. Communication within this system is never one-directional. Muscles continuously send feedback to the nervous system, informing it of position, tension, and effort. This sensory input allows for constant fine-tuning. When you walk on uneven ground, for instance, the muscles of your feet and legs send rapid signals about pressure and balance, allowing the brain to adjust posture with every step. Even standing still is an act of perpetual communication, countless tiny messages passing between nerves and fibers to maintain equilibrium. Within this network of control lies a subtle intelligence, one that operates below awareness. It is what allows the body to play an instrument, to run, to dance, to hold a pen without crushing it. The nervous system learns through repetition, refining its patterns until complex motions become effortless. This process, known as motor learning, involves the strengthening of connections between neurons, synapses that grow more efficient with use. Over time, what was once clumsy becomes graceful. What required thought becomes instinct. The connection between nerve and muscle, first tentative, becomes a practiced conversation carried out in perfect rhythm. Even during rest, this communication persists in a quieter form. The body's muscles maintain a low level of tone, regulated by constant, faint nerve signals. These impulses do not produce visible movement, but they keep the muscles ready, their fibers lightly engaged. The result is a subtle tension that preserves posture and keeps joints stable. This background activity, coordinated by the nervous system, is why the body never fully collapses into stillness. Even in sleep, the delicate harmony between nerves and muscles can be disturbed by fatigue, injury, or disease. Yet the body often finds ways to adapt. When a nerve is damaged, neighboring neurons may sprout new branches to re-establish communication. When muscles weaken through disuse, retraining can rebuild the lost connections, strengthening both the fibers and the signals that control them. This resilience reflects the deep adaptability of the neuromuscular system, a partnership constantly renewing itself, maintaining the link between thought and action. The relationship between the nervous and muscular systems is not merely mechanical. It embodies the dialogue between awareness and existence. Every sensation, from the warmth of sunlight on the skin to the pressure of the ground beneath the feet, involves the muscles in some way responding, adjusting, interpreting. The nervous system gathers the world's signals. The muscles express the body's response. Together, they form the physical language of life. As you rest and listen, this network continues its quiet work. Nerve impulses travel through your spine and limbs, maintaining tone, guiding breath, and adjusting posture. Reflexes remain alert, ready to act without your awareness should balance, shift, or discomfort arise. This invisible communication ensures that life flows on smoothly, without interruption or effort. Beneath every heartbeat, every sigh, and every moment of calm, the conversation between nerves and muscles persists, ancient, tireless, and endlessly precise. It is the body's most continuous dialogue, a language spoken in pulses and signals, maintaining the delicate harmony between motion and rest. 7. The muscles of the face and neck. The human face is perhaps the most expressive landscape in nature. Beneath its quiet surface, beneath the smooth planes of skin and subtle contours of bone, lies an intricate web of muscle, fine, delicate, and endlessly responsive. These small structures do not move limbs or lift great weight. Instead, they shape the softest gestures, those fleeting signs that give emotion its form. A smile, a frown, the faint narrowing of the eyes, all are born from the coordinated work of the facial muscles. They are the language of the body that needs no words. There are over 40 muscles in the face, most of them thin and flat, lying just beneath the skin rather than deep around the bones, as in other parts of the body. This unusual arrangement allows them to pull directly on the skin, producing expressions rather than gross movements. Together, they form a living canvas of subtle motion. These muscles are innervated primarily by the facial nerve, the seventh cranial nerve, which divides into 5 main branches: temporal, zygomatic, buccal, mandibular, and cervical. From the temples to the chin, it carries messages from the brain to every corner of expression, ensuring that thought can become visible, that emotion can ripple across the surface of the face in a heartbeat. At the heart of facial motion are a few key players. The frontalis muscle, lying across the forehead, lifts the eyebrows and wrinkles the skin above them, giving shape to surprise or curiosity. Beneath the eyes, the orbicularis oculi forms a circular ring around each orbit, closing the eyelids gently when blinking or tightly when squinting. These motions protect the eyes, spreading tears across their surface to keep them moist, while also lending the eyes their most expressive qualities: a squint of suspicion, the narrowing that accompanies laughter, or the tender closing that signals rest. The orbicularis oris encircles the mouth, forming a living frame for speech and emotion alike. Its contractions purse the lips, draw them together, or allow them to part. Around it lie the zygomaticus major and minor, slender muscles that lift the corners of the mouth upward and outward. When they contract in harmony, they create the smile, one of the most universal and ancient expressions of all living creatures capable of it. Opposing them is the depressor anguli oris, pulling the corners of the mouth downward, shaping the subtle gravity of sadness or contemplation. Across the cheek, the buccinator muscle presses inward against the teeth, controlling the air and pressure within the mouth. Though we seldom think of it, this muscle also plays a quiet role in breathing and swallowing, directing air and food through their proper paths. The nasalis, over the bridge of the nose, flares and compresses the nostrils, influencing breath and expression, together a sign of both exertion and emotion. Deeper within the face lies the masseter, a powerful, square muscle that spans the jaw and cheek. Muscles of expression. The masseter is built for force. It is one of the strongest muscles in the body relative to its size, capable of generating tremendous pressure when closing the jaws. Alongside it, the temporalis muscle fans across the side of the skull, inserting into the mandible and aiding in elevation and retraction of the jaw. Together, they form the machinery of mastication, the act of chewing, grinding, and preparing food for digestion. Even here, in the simple act of eating, the cooperation of muscle and nerve is exquisite, a symphony of tension and release occurring with every bite. At the base of the tongue, another set of muscles work tirelessly, though almost unnoticed. These include the genioglossus, hyoglossus, and styloglossus, each one anchoring the tongue to different points within the skull and throat. Their coordinated movements allow the tongue to change shape and position, to press, lift, curl, and flatten. This flexibility gives humans the gift of articulate speech and the ability to manipulate food with ease. Though small, these muscles are among the most active in the body, moving with every word and every breath. As the focus moves downward, the face merges into the neck, a transition zone where muscles take on both structural and expressive roles. The neck must bear the weight of the head, maintain posture, and guide delicate motions of turning, tilting, and nodding. To do this, it relies on a complex network of muscles, each working in balance with the others. The most prominent of these is the sternocleidomastoid, a long, elegant muscle that runs diagonally from behind the ear to the collarbone and sternum. When one side contracts, the head turns toward the opposite direction. When both work together, they flex the neck forward, bringing the chin toward the chest. The sternocleidomastoid is a muscle of motion and poise, active in every glance, every subtle adjustment of the head. Supporting it are the scalene muscles, a group of 3 slender bands, anterior, middle, and posterior, that stretch from the cervical vertebrae to the first and second ribs. They assist in bending the neck and lifting the upper ribs during deep inhalation, linking posture to breath. Beneath them lies the levator scapulae, which elevates the shoulder blade and stabilizes the neck's alignment. These muscles are often the first to tighten in moments of tension, their fibers responding unconsciously to stress or alertness, as if preparing the body to lift the head or brace for movement. Across the front of the neck spreads a thin, sheet-like muscle known as the platysma. It lies just under the skin, extending from the chest and shoulders up to the lower face. Though it contributes to facial expression, particularly in conveying strain or surprise, Its main role is to tighten and support the skin of the neck. The platysma is also part of the facial expression system, blurring the boundary between face and body. When it contracts, it draws the corners of the mouth downward and tenses the skin over the lower jaw, adding subtle nuance to emotion. Deeper still, hidden beneath the visible layers, lie the suprahyoid and infrahyoid muscles, small but essential groups that control the position of the hyoid bone, a free-floating structure in the throat that supports speech and swallowing. The suprahyoid muscles lift the hyoid during swallowing, while the infrahyoids lower it again. This rhythmic motion occurs countless times each day, moving in harmony with the tongue and jaw. Though invisible, these muscles play an essential role in the very acts that sustain life. What unites the muscles of the face and neck is not their strength, but their precision. They are built not for power, but for control, for subtlety, timing, and expression. Each one is guided by nerves that branch delicately through the tissues, transmitting impulses that must arrive with perfect coordination. A smile, for example, requires simultaneous activation of several muscles across both sides of the face, with fine adjustments to maintain symmetry. The slightest imbalance can alter the meaning of the expression entirely. This sensitivity is what gives the human face its remarkable range, capable of conveying joy, sorrow, curiosity, and serenity, with nothing more than the shift of a few millimeters of skin. Through this system, the muscles of the face and neck connect the internal and external worlds. They transform inner emotion into outward form, turning feeling into motion. They shape sound and language, allowing thought to be spoken. They protect vital openings, closing the eyes, sealing the lips, tightening the throat, and they balance the heavy structure of the head with the flexibility of movement. Every moment of waking life engages them in some way, even when we are unaware. As night falls and the body rests, the facial muscles soften first, the forehead smooths, the eyelids close, the jaw releases. The neck follows, easing its steady support of the head, allowing it to rest into alignment. Yet even in sleep, these muscles remain faintly active, guiding breath, swallowing reflexively, maintaining posture. The nerves that serve them continue to hum quietly, preserving life in every gentle contraction. To contemplate the muscles of the face and neck is to glimpse the meeting point of strength and sensitivity. These tissues, though small, are deeply expressive instruments, capable of both immense endurance and infinite subtlety. They speak a language older than words, a language of motion, balance, and emotion, whispered through every tilt of the head, every blink, every curve of the mouth. Beneath the stillness of the skin, they work ceaselessly, shaping the expressions that make us human, the gestures that connect thought to the physical world, and the soft, graceful movements that reveal the soul without a single sound. Across the upper body lies a region where strength meets flexibility, where movement of the arms and breath of the lungs intertwine in quiet cooperation. The muscles of the chest and shoulders form a living bridge between the trunk and the limbs, anchoring motion to stability and giving form to the body's posture. They allow us to reach outward, to lift. Every movement of the upper body, from the soft expansion of a breath to the power of a push, depends on the graceful coordination of these muscles, each one shaped by centuries of evolution toward balance, endurance, and harmony. The chest, or thoracic region, houses both vital organs and the muscular layers that protect and move them. At its surface lies the pectoralis major, one of the most recognizable muscles of the human form. Broad and fan-shaped, it spans from the clavicle and sternum across the front of the chest, converging into a narrow tendon that inserts into the upper humerus, the long bone of the upper arm. Its fibers are arranged in sweeping arcs, like the ribs of a sail, allowing the muscle to contract from different angles. When it shortens, it draws the arm inward and forward, a motion called adduction and flexion. It is the muscle that allows the arms to cross the chest, to pull something close, or to push it away. In every hug, every gentle press of the hands, the pectoralis major is at work, steady yet soft in its strength. Beneath it lies its smaller companion, the pectoralis minor. This thin, triangular muscle anchors from the upper ribs to a small projection on the scapula known as the coracoid process. Though less visible, its role is significant. It draws the shoulder blade downward and forward, stabilizing the scapula during movements of the arm. Together, the pectoral muscles form a dynamic partnership, the major generating power and breadth, the minor guiding and steadying each motion. When you reach to open a door, hold a book, or steady an object in space, these muscles act in unison, balancing precision and force. The rib cage, which gives shape to the chest, also bears its own set of muscles, the intercostals that fill the spaces between the ribs. These slender layers form a woven lattice that aids in breathing. The external intercostals run diagonally downward and forward, lifting the rib cage during inhalation to expand the lungs. The internal intercostals run in the opposite direction, pulling the ribs downward during exhalation. Together they create the rhythm of breathing, the rise and fall that continues from birth to the final moment of life. With each breath, they move subtly, lifting and lowering the thoracic cage in a pattern so regular it feels like stillness itself. Just below the rib cage lies the diaphragm, a dome-shaped muscle that forms the floor of the thoracic cavity and the ceiling of the abdomen. It is not part of the chest wall but works in harmony with it, descending as it contracts to draw air into the lungs. Though we rarely feel its presence, the diaphragm's rhythmic motion is the quiet foundation of life, an internal tide of expansion and release that mirrors the motion of the sea. Extending outward from the chest, the muscles of the shoulders create the freedom of movement that defines the human upper limb. The shoulder is the most mobile joint in the body, capable of rotation, lifting, extension, and fine adjustments in every direction. This range of motion is possible because of the delicate interplay between strength and flexibility, a balance maintained by both large surface muscles and smaller stabilizing groups. Dominating the contour of the shoulder is the deltoid muscle, a thick, triangular mass that caps the joint like protective armor. It has three distinct portions: anterior, middle, and posterior, each contributing to a different movement of the arm. The anterior fibers lift the arm forward, the middle fibers raise it to the side, and the posterior fibers draw it backward. When all three work together, they create a smooth, circular motion, allowing the arm to sweep gracefully through space. The deltoid is a muscle of versatility, as active in lifting and throwing as it is in the gentle act of reaching out to touch or support. Beneath its strength lies precision, for it must control the arm's motion delicately enough to guide without strain. Supporting the deltoid are the four small but crucial muscles of the rotator cuff: the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. These lie deep around the shoulder joint, forming a sheath that holds the head of the humerus securely in its socket. Their combined action stabilizes the shoulder during movement, preventing dislocation while allowing freedom of motion. The supraspinatus initiates the first lift of the arm. The infraspinatus and teres minor rotate it outward, and the subscapularis turns it inward. Together, they balance opposing forces, ensuring that the humerus glides smoothly rather than grinding against the joint. Even the smallest motion of the shoulder relies on their quiet coordination, a symphony of restraint that protects and perfects movement. Along the sides of the chest, wrapping around from the ribs to the scapula, lies the serratus anterior, a muscle often called the boxer's muscle. Its serrated, blade-like fibers attach to the upper ribs, giving it a distinctive appearance beneath the skin. It draws the shoulder blade forward and around the rib cage, as in the motion of punching or reaching. Yet beyond this forceful function, The serratus anterior also holds the scapula flat against the chest wall, preventing it from winging outward. Without it, the shoulder would lose its anchor, and even simple gestures would falter. Behind the shoulder joint, extending across the upper back, the trapezius plays a complementary role. Although its main portion belongs to the back, its upper fibers assist the shoulders by lifting and rotating the scapula, helping to raise the arms. When the trapezius contracts, it creates the familiar motion of shrugging, a gesture that communicates uncertainty or ease. Beneath it, other muscles such as the rhomboids and levator scapulae work to stabilize the shoulder blades, maintaining posture and balance. In every movement of the upper body, the muscles of the chest and shoulders work in close harmony with one another. When you lift an object, the pectorals and deltoids generate power, while the rotator cuff and intercostals stabilize. When you reach forward, the serratus anterior guides the scapula's motion. Even breathing involves this coordination, as the shoulders rise slightly with inhalation and fall gently with exhalation. Each action, no matter how small, is part of a continuous dialogue between strength and precision. Beyond motion, these muscles also shape the human form. They define the posture of the upper body, the broad curve of the shoulders, and the lift of the chest. A strong yet flexible chest allows deep, unhurried breathing. A balanced shoulder girdle supports graceful movement. In this way, muscular health and alignment influence not only how the body performs, but how it feels the sense of openness, stability, and ease that comes from balance. Even in stillness, the muscles of the chest and shoulders remain quietly active. The pectorals maintain the alignment of the upper arms, preventing them from collapsing inward. The rotator cuff keeps the shoulder joints steady, poised for motion at any moment. It is a state of calm readiness, a harmony between rest and potential. The chest rises and falls in steady cadence, guided by the intercostals and diaphragm. The shoulders settle into alignment, their supporting muscles relaxing yet vigilant enough to maintain posture and protect the neck. Even at rest, the chest and shoulders embody the unity of strength and softness that defines the human body. To understand these muscles is to recognize the quiet power within every breath and every gesture. The chest and shoulders are not merely engines of force. They are the cradle of balance, the space where motion begins and ends. They support the heart and lungs, anchor the arms, and express the body's vitality through motion and stillness alike. Beneath the skin, they work ceaselessly, contracting, releasing, adjusting, creating the rhythm of life that carries us forward, moment by moment, in an unbroken flow of movement and breath. 9. The muscles of the arms and hands. The human arm is a masterpiece of balance and design, strong enough to lift and carry, yet delicate enough to write, to paint, to trace the smallest line upon a page. Beneath its smooth surface lies an arrangement of muscles so intricate that it allows both power and precision in the same motion. From the shoulder to the fingertips, each movement is guided by the harmonious interplay of muscle, tendon, and bone. Every gesture, the turning of a key, the grasp of a cup, the gentle touch of one hand upon another depends on the coordinated effort of this network, a symphony of motion woven through the arms and hands. The upper arm is dominated by two opposing muscles, the biceps brachii at the front and the triceps brachii at the back. These two partners work in quiet opposition, one bending the arm, the other extending it. The biceps brachii, whose very name means two-headed muscle of the arm, begins at 2 points near the shoulder, one on the scapula's coracoid process and another on the supraglenoid tubercle, and runs down to attach at the radius, one of the two forearm bones. Its fibers contract to bend the elbow and rotate the forearm upward, turning the palm toward the sky. This dual action makes the biceps not only a muscle of strength but also one of dexterity, essential for the fine control of the hands during daily activities. Opposing it, The triceps brachii stretches along the back of the arm, composed of three heads that originate from the scapula and the humerus before merging into a single tendon at the elbow. Its contraction straightens the arm, counterbalancing the pull of the biceps. When you push open a door, press against a surface, or extend your hand outward, it is the triceps that generates that controlled release of power. The interplay between biceps and triceps, one pulling, the other resisting, provides the arm with fluid motion and stability, ensuring that every movement is smooth rather than abrupt. Between these two great muscles lies the brachialis, a deeper and quieter worker. It lies beneath the biceps, attaching the humerus to the ulna, and serves as the primary flexor of the elbow. While the biceps handles rotation and assists in lifting, the brachialis provides steady, pure bending force. Its motion is subtle, often unseen beneath the surface, but its contribution is vital. Without it, the arm would lose much of its controlled precision. As the upper arm gives way to the forearm, the complexity deepens. Here, more than 20 muscles intertwine in layered groups, controlling the wrist, hand, and fingers. These muscles are arranged primarily into two families: flexors on the palm side, which close the hand and bend the wrist, and extensors on the backside, which open the hand and straighten it. They run the length of the forearm, their long tendons passing through narrow tunnels at the wrist to attach to the bones of the hand. This arrangement allows for both power and delicacy, giving the hands their remarkable range of movement. On the inner side of the forearm, closest to the body, the flexor muscles originate from the medial epicondyle of the humerus. The flexor carpi, radialis, and flexor carpi ulnaris bend the wrist toward the palm, while the palmaris longus, a slender muscle present in some but not all people, tenses the palm's connective tissue. Deeper within the forearm lie the flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus, whose tendons extend into the fingers, allowing them to curl and grasp. Working together, they create the strength of a clenched fist or the gentleness of a cupped hand. The thumb, that distinct hallmark of human dexterity, is guided by its own set of specialized muscles, including the flexor pollicis longus, which bends the thumb inward with exquisite precision. On the outer, or dorsal, side of the forearm, the extensor muscles mirror this structure. The extensor carpi radialis and extensor carpi ulnaris straighten the wrist, while the extensor digitorum extends the fingers, spreading them outward in an open gesture. The extensor pollicis longus and brevis, along with the abductor pollicis longus, control the thumb's outward movements, allowing it to oppose or reach away from the fingers, a motion that defines human grasping ability. These extensors and flexors must balance perfectly. Too much tension on one side, and the hand becomes rigid. Too little, and it loses strength. Their alternating contractions produce the rhythm of movement that makes the hand both powerful and expressive. Between these two main groups lie the pronators and supinators, muscles responsible for rotating the forearm. The pronator teres and pronator quadratus turn the palm downward, while the supinator and biceps brachii rotate it upward. This ability to twist the forearm, known as pronation and supination, is what allows the hand to turn freely to hold, pour, write, or offer a handshake. The fluid rotation of the forearm is one of the marvels of the musculoskeletal system, achieved by precise coordination between these slender muscles and the bones they command. Moving down to the wrist and hand, the design grows even more intricate. The hand contains over 30 muscles, most of them small and deeply embedded. These intrinsic hand muscles, unlike the long flexors and extensors of the forearm, are located entirely within the hand itself. They provide the fine control that distinguishes human dexterity from all other forms of motion in the animal world. The muscles of the palm are divided into three groups: the thenar group at the base of the thumb, the hypothenar group at the base of the little finger, and the mid-palmar group that lies between them. The thinner muscles, the abductor pollicis brevis, flexor pollicis brevis, and opponens pollicis, give the thumb its remarkable mobility, allowing it to touch each fingertip in turn. This opposition of the thumb is the foundation of grip, from the firm hold of a tool to the gentle cradle of a fragile object. On the opposite side, the hypothenor muscles control the movements of the little finger, providing balance and stability to the hand's overall shape. Between these two regions, the lumbricals and interossi weave through the palm like the threads of a net. The lumbricals arise from the tendons of the flexor digitorum profundus and insert into the fingers, allowing them to flex at one joint while extending at another. This seemingly simple motion, the gentle closing of the fingers, depends on their coordination. The interossae, arranged between the metacarpal bones, move the fingers side to side, enabling them to spread or draw together. These tiny muscles are responsible for the subtle shifts of position that make writing, typing, or playing an instrument possible. Every motion of the hand and arm depends on the seamless integration of nerves, tendons, and muscles. The median, ulnar, and radial nerves carry signals from the brain, branching through the arm like rivers, each serving specific regions. When you move a finger, hundreds of electrical signals pass through these nerves, coordinating timing and pressure with astonishing accuracy. The blood vessels that accompany them ensure that these hard-working tissues receive oxygen and nutrients, keeping the system alive and ready for constant use. Despite their constant activity, the muscles of the arms and hands seldom fatigue completely. They are built for endurance, designed to recover quickly, even after long hours of use. When they rest, their fibers repair and strengthen, preparing quietly for the next demand. And though they are capable of great strength, their most profound beauty lies in precision, the ability to create the softest gesture or the most delicate touch. As you lie still, these muscles remain subtly engaged. The forearm adjusts to the position of the hand. The fingers rest in a natural curve. The shoulders balance the weight of the arms. Even in sleep, faint contractions preserve alignment, maintaining circulation and preventing stiffness. The same network that can lift, build, and shape also knows how to rest, how to support the body in silence. To contemplate the muscles of the arms and hands is to appreciate one of nature's finest designs. They unite strength with artistry, function with feeling. They are the instruments through which thought becomes creation, the means by which we write, build, comfort, and express. Beneath every motion of the arm, beneath every soft movement of the fingers, lies a quiet intelligence, an elegant harmony between power and control, between effort and grace. It is this harmony that defines the human touch, firm enough to shape the world, yet gentle enough to feel it. 10. The muscles of the back. The human back is a landscape of strength and endurance, a vast field of layered muscle that shields the spine and supports the body's every movement. It is the body's anchor, the foundation for posture, balance, and stability. Beneath its quiet surface lies one of the most complex arrangements of muscles in the human form, organized in overlapping sheets that extend from the base of the skull to the lower spine and outward to the shoulders and hips. These muscles work constantly, whether in motion or stillness, maintaining the upright stance that defines our species. To understand the back is to glimpse the silent architecture of support that allows the rest of the body to move freely. The muscles of the back are arranged in 3 layers: superficial, intermediate, and deep, each serving distinct yet connected purposes. The superficial layer controls the movements of the shoulders and upper limbs, anchoring the arms to the trunk. The intermediate layer assists in breathing, lifting and expanding the rib cage during respiration. The deep layer, closest to the spine, maintains posture and coordinates the delicate adjustments that keep the body balanced. Together, these layers work in harmony, forming a living framework that supports motion, body in continuous equilibrium. Dominating the upper back is the trapezius, a broad, diamond-shaped muscle that spans from the base of the skull down to the middle of the spine and extends outward to the shoulders. Its fibers are divided into three regions: upper, middle, and lower, each with a distinct function. The upper fibers lift the shoulders in a shrug or tilt the head backward. The middle fibers draw the shoulder blades together, and the lower fibers pull them downward. When all regions act together, they stabilize the scapulae, holding them steady as the arms move. The trapezius is both powerful and graceful, capable of strong retraction yet subtle enough to support the still posture of the head and neck. Beneath it, other muscles take on quieter but equally vital roles. Just below the trapezius lies the latissimus dorsi, one of the largest muscles in the human body. Its wide, fan-shaped expanse covers the lower back, stretching from the lower thoracic vertebrae, iliac crest up to the upper arm. When it contracts, it draws the arm downward and backward, producing movements such as pulling, climbing, or swimming. It also contributes to the inward rotation of the arm, shaping the broad sweep of motion that gives the upper body its power. Despite its strength, the latissimus dorsi moves with remarkable fluidity, guiding the body through both controlled effort and ease. Alongside these broad surface muscles, several smaller but essential muscles connect the shoulder blades to the spine. The rhomboid major and rhomboid minor lie deep to the trapezius, running diagonally from the vertebrae to the inner edges of the scapulae. Their task is to draw the shoulder blades together, maintaining alignment and stability during movement. Working with them is the levator scapulae, which, as its name suggests, elevates the scapula, helping lift the shoulders or tilt the neck. These three muscles act as stabilizers, ensuring that the shoulder girdle remains secure even when the arms move with force or precision. Below the shoulder level, the back becomes a landscape of long vertical muscles that align with the spine. These deep muscles, collectively known as the erector spinae, form a powerful column that extends from the lower back up to the neck. The erector spinae group consists of three main divisions: the iliocostalis, longissimus, and spinalis, each running parallel to the spine. Their combined action allows the body to stand upright, bend backward, or lean to the side. When one side contracts, the trunk flexes laterally. When both sides work together, the spine extends in a smooth arc. These muscles also play a constant stabilizing role, making tiny adjustments to maintain posture during stillness. Even as you sit quietly, they are at work, counteracting the pull of gravity with steady, low-level contractions. Deeper still lies the transversospinalis group, a series of shorter muscles, including the semispinalis, multifidus, and rotatories. These lie close to the vertebrae, connecting one segment of the spine to another. Their function is not to generate large movements, but to fine-tune posture, control rotation, and protect the spinal joints. The multifidus, in particular, acts like a web of anchors along the spine, preventing unwanted twisting and maintaining alignment. Though small, these deep stabilizers are crucial for spinal health and balance, especially during subtle shifts of position, such as walking or breathing. Toward the lower back, the quadratus lumborum occupies a quiet but powerful role. Situated on either side of the lumbar spine, this thick, square-shaped muscle connects the pelvis to the lower ribs and helps bend the trunk to the side. It also stabilizes the pelvis during walking, preventing the body from swaying excessively with each step. When you stand on one leg, it is the quadratus lumborum that keeps the torso level, working continuously in partnership with the abdominal and hip muscles to maintain balance. The serratus posterior superior, located in the upper back beneath the rhomboids, helps lift the ribs during inhalation. The serratus posterior inferior, found near the lower ribs, assists in pulling them downward during exhalation. Though small and often unseen, these muscles contribute to the expansion and contraction of the thoracic cavity. blending the act of breathing with the stability of posture. Together, these layers of muscle transform the back into both an engine and a stabilizer. Every motion of the arms and legs depends on the back's quiet cooperation. When you reach forward, the upper fibers of the trapezius adjust the scapula to guide the motion. When you lift a weight, the erector spinae and latissimus dorsi engage to steady the spine. Even walking is a full-body conversation between the muscles of the back and the limbs. Opposite side of the back contracts to counterbalance, keeping the body upright and centered. The back's contribution extends beyond movement into the realm of stillness. It is the back that holds the body upright when we sit or stand, aligning the head above the shoulders and the shoulders above the pelvis. This alignment allows the body to remain at rest without strain, conserving energy through balance. The muscles of the back achieve this, not through rigidity, but through gentle, continuous adjustment, a constant, silent dialogue between contraction and release. When viewed from the outside, the back seems simple, but beneath its surface lies a structure of astonishing intricacy. Its layers are interconnected by tendons and fascia that transmit force and absorb tension. These tissues allow the muscles to work together seamlessly, distributing pressure evenly throughout the torso. The fascia itself, a thin yet strong web of connective tissue, encases the muscles like a second skin, linking the upper and lower body in one continuous chain. Through this system, a motion that begins in the back can flow effortlessly into the shoulders, arms, and legs, creating the fluid grace that defines natural movement. During rest, the muscles of the back never fall completely still. They continue to maintain posture even in reclining positions, adjusting the alignment of the spine and supporting the natural curves of the body. The deeper muscles subtly shift to assist breathing, responding to the rise and fall of the rib cage. This low, steady activity prevents stiffness and sustains the spine's delicate balance. The back is often taken for granted because it works quietly, without complaint, until strain or fatigue draws attention to its importance. Yet its presence is constant in every breath, every gesture, every step. It is the unseen foundation of the human frame, a structure of enduring strength that holds the body upright and poised. Beneath its calm exterior lies a network of fibers that never truly rest, preserving alignment, supporting motion, and protecting the fragile spinal cord that serves as the body's main communication pathway. To reflect upon the muscles of the back is to recognize the quiet strength that underlies all movement. They are the body's great guardians, powerful yet humble, persistent yet silent. They work tirelessly, often unnoticed, ensuring that balance, motion, and stability flow together as one. Within their steady rhythm lies the harmony of motion and rest, the living foundation upon which the human form stands tall, breathes deeply, and moves with effortless grace through the world. 11. The muscles of the core and abdomen. At the center of the human body lies a region both strong and supple, quiet yet vital, the core. It is the living axis around which every motion of the body revolves. Whether we bend forward, twist to the side, stand upright, or even breathe, the core muscles are at work, forming a stable foundation that connects the upper and lower halves of the body. This central region, made up of the abdominal muscles, the deep stabilizers of the spine, and the supporting layers of connective tissue, provides both protection and power. It holds the body upright against gravity, maintains balance through movement, and guards the delicate organs within the torso. In its stillness, it radiates stability. In its motion, it provides control and flow. The abdominal wall is composed of several layers, each with a unique structure and function, arranged like protective bands that wrap around the body. On the surface lies the rectus abdominis, the long, vertical muscle that runs from the lower chest down to the pelvis. Its segmented appearance has made it one of the most familiar muscles of the body, but its true purpose extends far beyond aesthetics. The rectus abdominis bends the torso forward, assists in lifting the pelvis, and works in harmony with deeper muscles to stabilize the spine. When it contracts, it draws the ribs and pelvis toward one another, creating the gentle flexion used when sitting up, curling forward, or simply leaning to tie a shoe. Beneath its rhythmic rise and fall lies a profound contribution to the body's integrity. It is the front wall of the core, forming the boundary that holds and protects the organs within. Flanking the rectus abdominis are the external obliques, large diagonal muscles that run downward from the ribs toward the pelvis. These create a twisting motion of the torso and help compress the abdomen. Beneath them lie the internal obliques, running in the opposite direction, forming an interwoven pattern of fibers that wrap the sides of the body in strength and flexibility. The obliques work together to rotate and bend the trunk, but their role is more subtle than simple movement. They also act as stabilizers, engaging during nearly every motion to maintain the alignment of the spine and pelvis. When one side contracts, the body rotates or bends. When both sides contract, they assist in forward flexion, tightening the abdominal wall like a natural corset. This interplay of oblique muscles allows the body to twist with grace and balance, ensuring that every turn of the torso remains smooth and controlled. Deep beneath these layers lies the transverse abdominis, the innermost muscle of the abdominal wall and perhaps the most important for stability. Its fibers run horizontally, wrapping around the torso like a wide belt. When it contracts, it draws inward gently, compressing the abdominal cavity and supporting the spine from within. Unlike the more superficial muscles that create visible movement, the transverse abdominis functions quietly, providing core stability even during stillness. It activates before most motions, preparing the body by tightening the internal pressure that protects the spine and organs. This subtle contraction is the foundation of posture, the invisible brace that allows the body to stand tall and move efficiently. Beneath the abdominal layers, deep within the torso, lies another crucial structure, the diaphragm. Though known primarily as the principal muscle of respiration, it is also a vital component of the core. As it contracts, it moves downward, increasing the volume of the chest cavity and drawing air into the lungs. This movement simultaneously increases pressure in the abdominal cavity, reinforcing spinal stability. Working together with the transverse abdominis, pelvic floor, and deep back muscles, the diaphragm creates an internal cylinder of support. With every breath, it stabilizes the body while nourishing it with oxygen. Below the diaphragm lies the pelvic floor, a group of muscles that form the base of the core. These muscles span the bottom of the pelvis, supporting the organs of the lower abdomen and maintaining control over functions such as urination and defecation. They contract in coordination with the abdominal and spinal muscles, providing an essential link in the chain of stability. When the diaphragm descends during inhalation, the pelvic floor subtly responds, maintaining balance and pressure. When the diaphragm relaxes, it lifts slightly, returning the core to its resting state. Together, they create a rhythm of motion that keeps the torso balanced from top to bottom, from breath to breath. The muscles of the core do not work in isolation. They are deeply connected to the muscles of the back, particularly the multifidus and erector spinae, which provide posterior support to the spine. When these back muscles and the abdominal muscles engage simultaneously, they form a natural girdle around the body, protecting the vertebral column and distributing load evenly across the torso. This cooperation is what allows the body to move with both strength and grace, the ability to lift, twist, and reach without strain or imbalance. Beyond movement, the core plays a vital role in posture. It is responsible for maintaining the body's alignment in standing, sitting, and walking. The subtle contractions of the deep muscles hold the spine upright, keeping the shoulders, hips, and pelvis in harmonious balance. Weakness or imbalance in the core often manifests as poor posture, back pain, or instability, because without a firm center, every other part of the body must compensate. A strong core, however, brings a sense of lightness to movement, as if the body moves effortlessly around an invisible axis of balance. The abdominal muscles also assist in functions that extend beyond motion. During exhalation, coughing, laughing, and even speech, they contract to increase pressure within the abdomen, aiding in the expulsion of air from the lungs. They play a role in circulation, helping push venous blood and lymphatic fluid upward toward the heart. They even participate in childbirth, where coordinated contractions of the diaphragm, abdominals, and pelvic floor guide the natural process of delivery. In all of these, the core demonstrates its versatility, a system not only of support and structure, but of life itself. Everyday actions engage the core more often than one might realize. Reaching for an object, standing from a seated position, or maintaining balance on uneven ground all rely on its subtle adjustments. When the body twists, bends, or stretches, the abdominal muscles activate automatically to stabilize and protect. They do this with remarkable efficiency, consuming little energy while providing immense stability. Even during sleep, the core maintains a gentle level of tone. Visually, the abdominal region might seem simple, a flat plane between the ribs and hips, but beneath it lies an extraordinary network of interlaced fibers, connective tissues, and fascia that transmit force in every direction. The linea alba, a fibrous seam running down the midline of the abdomen, binds the left and right sides of the rectus abdominis together, ensuring that movement remains balanced. This connective structure acts like a hinge, allowing equal distribution of force across the torso, preventing strain or asymmetry. When we consider the elegance of the core, we find that its beauty lies not in visible strength, but in quiet coordination. It does not move loudly or visibly. It stabilizes, protects, and responds. It is the deep, unseen strength that supports every expression of motion. To engage the core is to connect the whole body to feel the unbroken line from the feet to the crown of the head, each part supported by the invisible center. As you rest, these muscles continue their silent work. The diaphragm rises and falls with the breath. The transverse abdominis maintains gentle tension, and the back muscles respond with subtle counterbalance. This equilibrium allows the body to remain upright or to lie comfortably without collapse or strain. Beneath the calm surface of the skin, the core hums softly with life. To understand the muscles of the core and abdomen is to understand the unity of the human body itself. They embody both protection and motion, stillness and flow. They are the quiet center of strength. Within their layers lies the very essence of balance, the deep intelligence of the body that holds us upright, connects us to the earth, and allows us to move through the world with calm, effortless grace. 12. The pelvic and hip muscles. At the meeting point between the upper and lower halves of the body lies the pelvis, a region of extraordinary complexity and quiet strength. It serves as the foundation upon which posture rests, a central hub where stability and motion coexist in delicate balance. The pelvis supports the weight of the upper body, transfers force to the legs. Around this structure, the muscles of the hips form a network of power and precision, guiding every step, every bend, every subtle shift of weight. They are the deep engines of movement, hidden beneath the surface, working tirelessly to hold the body upright and to propel it forward through the world. The pelvis itself is a sturdy ring of bone formed by the two hip bones, the sacrum and the coccyx. It provides attachment points for dozens of muscles, ligaments, and tendons that unite the spine with the legs. These muscles vary in size and function, from the broad sheets of the gluteals that give shape to the hips, to the smaller, hidden stabilizers that maintain the alignment of the pelvis and femur. Together, they enable an astonishing range of motion, flexion, extension, rotation, and abduction, while also providing the strength needed for balance and endurance. Among the largest and most powerful of these muscles are the gluteals, three overlapping layers that form the rounded contour of the hips and buttocks. The gluteus maximus, the outermost and most massive of the trio, is a symbol of strength and motion. It originates from the sacrum and iliac crest and inserts into the femur and the iliotibial tract. When it contracts, it extends and rotates the hip, driving the body forward when walking or running, and supporting the trunk when standing from a seated position. Its power is not brute force alone. It acts in coordination with the spine, abdomen, and legs to create fluid, efficient movement. Beneath it lies the gluteus medius, smaller but crucial for stabilization. It abducts the hip, drawing the leg outward, and maintains pelvic balance during walking, ensuring that the body does not sway from side to side. Deeper still is the gluteus minimus, the quietest of the three, providing subtle support and fine-tuned control of hip rotation. These three muscles form the cornerstone of pelvic stability, but they do not work alone. On the front of the hip lies the iliopsoas, a combination of two muscles, the psoas major and the iliacus, that merge as they descend to attach to the femur. The psoas major originates along the lumbar spine, while the iliacus arises from the inner surface of the pelvis. Together, they form a powerful hip flexor, drawing the thigh upward or bending the torso forward. Though hidden deep within the abdomen, the iliopsoas is a vital link between the upper and lower body, coordinating posture, gait, and even breathing. When functioning in harmony, it keeps the spine aligned and the legs moving smoothly. When weakened or tight, it can disrupt the natural rhythm of motion, reminding us how interconnected the body truly is. Around the hips, smaller muscles provide control and precision. The tensor fasciae, latae, a slender muscle on the outer thigh, tightens the iliotibial tract, helping to stabilize the knee during movement. The piriformis, located deep in the gluteal region, rotates the hip outward and aids in balance during walking. Nearby, the obturator internus, obturator externus, gemellus superior, gemellus inferior, and quadratus femoris form a group known collectively as the deep lateral rotators. These small but essential muscles work together to rotate the thigh and stabilize the hip joint, particularly during weight-bearing activities. Their coordination ensures that every step remains smooth and aligned, that the hips move with grace and confidence. In front of the hip joint, the sartorius winds across the thigh in a long, elegant curve, the longest muscle in the human body. It runs from the outer hip to the inner knee, crossing two joints and assisting in multiple movements, flexion, abduction, and rotation of the thigh. Its name, derived from the Latin word for tailor, reflects the cross-legged position once associated with sewing. The sartorius, though slender, embodies the harmony of human motion, allowing the legs to move in a wide range of gentle, circular paths. Beneath and behind it, the adductor muscles line the inner thigh like cords of living tension. This group, the adductor longus, adductor brevis, adductor magnus, gracilis, and pectineus, works to draw the thighs toward each other, stabilizing the body during standing and movement. Their contraction prevents the legs from sliding apart, providing a firm, balanced stance. Yet they are also active during walking and running, controlling the inward and outward swing of each step. Together, they bring the legs back to center, guiding motion with quiet precision. At the rear of the pelvis, near the base of the spine, lies the small but vital group of muscles that support the sacrum and coccyx. These include the coccygeus and the levator ani, components of the pelvic floor. They form a sling-like structure that holds the organs of the lower abdomen in place and assists in maintaining continence and stability. Though rarely felt or noticed, their constant, gentle contraction provides the foundation for many functions that sustain life. They respond instinctively to changes in posture, tightening slightly when standing or lifting, and relaxing during rest. Their endurance is unmatched, for they must work continuously throughout the day and night. The relationship between the pelvic and hip muscles is one of balance, a constant interplay between power and control. The gluteals and hamstrings extend the hip, propelling the body forward. The iliopsoas and rectus femoris flex it, lifting the leg and bending the torso. The adductors and abductors counter one another, maintaining alignment. The deep rotators fine-tune rotation, ensuring stability in every direction. Each of these muscles must work in harmony with the others, for even the smallest imbalance can ripple through the body, altering gait and posture. The pelvis itself acts as the crossroads for force transfer. When the feet press into the ground, the muscles of the legs send energy upward through the pelvis to the spine and upper body. When the arms move or the trunk twists, the core and pelvic muscles stabilize the motion, channeling energy back downward to the legs. It is what allows the human body to move as a unified whole, a seamless coordination of limbs and core, guided by the invisible intelligence of balance. Beyond movement, the muscles of the pelvis and hips play a role in expression and emotion. They are deeply connected to the breath, responding to changes in tension and relaxation. When we feel calm, they soften, allowing the spine to align naturally. When we experience stress, they tighten, drawing the body inward, as if to protect its center. Their state often mirrors the state of the mind, supple and open in moments of peace, contracted in moments of fear or effort. During rest, these muscles do not fall silent. The gluteals maintain subtle tension to support posture, the pelvic floor sustains its gentle lift, and the iliopsoas continues to hold the spine in its natural curve. Even in sleep, they adjust to each breath, balancing the body as it turns or shifts. Their endurance is quiet, steady, and unyielding, a testament to the body's continuous need for balance. To study the muscles of the pelvis and hips is to understand the harmony between power and grace. They are the engines of motion, yet also the seat of stillness. They link the spine to the legs, the breath to the ground, the will to the act of movement. Beneath the surface, they form a network of strength and intelligence, responding to every motion with quiet precision. In their constant rhythm, contracting, releasing, stabilizing, they remind us of the body's deeper unity, that every step, every breath, every posture begins at the core of being, where motion is born and balance is sustained. 13. The muscles of the thigh. The human thigh is a pillar of motion, the bridge between the hips and the lower legs, and one of the most powerful regions of the body. Within its structure lies the strength that allows us to stand, walk, climb, and leap, yet also the balance and control needed to move with gentleness and grace. It is here that much of human locomotion begins. The muscles of the thigh bear the weight of the upper body and transmit it downward through the knees to the feet, acting as both engines of motion and guardians of stability. Their work is constant. Whether we are walking across uneven ground or simply standing still, holding the body upright against the quiet pull of gravity, the thigh is home to three principal muscle groups, each serving its own function but working together in seamless cooperation. At the front lies the quadriceps femoris, a collection of four large muscles that form the broad expanse of the anterior thigh. Between them, along the inner surface, lies the adductor group, drawing the thighs together and stabilizing the pelvis during movement. Together they form a perfect triad: front, back, and center, balancing strength, flexibility, and control. The quadriceps, or quads, take their name from their four distinct parts: the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, and vastus intermedius. These four muscles converge into a single, thick tendon that attaches to the patella, or kneecap, which in turn connects to the tibia through the patellar ligament. Their coordinated contraction straightens the knee, a motion fundamental to walking, standing, and rising. The quadriceps are among the strongest muscles in the human body, capable of supporting the full weight of the torso and absorbing impact with each step. Yet, their power is paired with delicacy, for they must not only extend the leg but control its descent, ensuring that motion remains smooth and measured. The rectus femoris is the most central and superficial of the group, running straight down the front of the thigh. Unlike the other three quadriceps, it crosses both the hip and knee joints, making it a bridge between the pelvis and lower leg. Its dual function allows it to assist in hip flexion as well as knee extension, connecting the movements of walking into a single fluid gesture. To its outer side lies the vastus lateralis, the largest of the four, whose broad fibers wrap around the thigh to provide lateral stability. On the inner side rests the vastus medialis, recognizable by its teardrop shape near the knee. It plays a crucial role in aligning the patella and stabilizing the joint. Deep beneath them, hidden from view, lies the vastus intermedius. In unison, they generate the immense power that propels the body forward, upward, and through space. Opposite the quadriceps, on the back of the thigh, stretch the hamstrings, long, sinewy muscles that extend from the pelvis to the bones of the lower leg. The hamstring group includes the biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus, each contributing to the bending of the knee and the extension of the hip. They act as the counterbalance to the quadriceps, slowing forward motion and stabilizing the body during walking or running. When we lean forward, they engage to prevent the torso from collapsing. When we lift a leg backward, they provide the strength that drives the motion. The biceps femoris, positioned laterally, has two heads, one originating from the ischial tuberosity of the pelvis and the other from the femur. Together, they form a strong tendon that inserts into the head of the fibula, allowing the leg to flex and rotate outward. Medially, the semitendinosus and semimembranosus work side by side, bending the knee and rotating the leg inward. The hamstring's dual connection to both hip and knee joints makes them key players in nearly every form of movement, from standing and walking to running and climbing. Their coordinated action with the quadriceps ensures that every stride remains controlled. Along the inner thigh lies a third group of muscles that complete the harmony of the region, the adductors. These muscles draw the thighs toward one another, maintaining balance during standing and ensuring alignment during walking. The adductor group consists of the adductor longus, adductor brevis, adductor magnus, gracilis, and pectineus. The adductor longus and brevis occupy the upper and middle portions of the inner thigh, while the adductor magnus, the largest of the group, stretches from the pelvis down to the femur, forming the broad base of the medial thigh. The gracilis, a slender, ribbon-like muscle, runs the full length of the inner thigh to the tibia, contributing both to hip adduction and knee flexion. The pectineus, lying near the upper groin, assists in flexion and medial rotation of the hip. These muscles are deeply involved in maintaining posture, preventing the legs from sliding apart, and stabilizing the pelvis during walking or shifting weight from one leg to the other. Together, these three groups, the quadriceps, hamstrings, and adductors, form an interdependent system of motion. Each one complements and counteracts the others, balancing the body as it moves. When one contracts, another lengthens, and yet another stabilizes, creating a continuous chain of coordination. The thigh's power does not arise from individual effort but from collective harmony, a seamless blending of forces that transforms muscular strength into graceful, efficient motion. The femur, the longest bone in the body, serves as the sturdy framework upon which these muscles act. It transmits forces between the hip and the knee, translating muscular contractions into motion. Encasing it are layers of connective tissue, fascia, tendons, and sheaths that ensure smooth movement and distribute pressure evenly across the thigh. The fascia lata, the deep connective tissue surrounding the thigh, forms a protective envelope that maintains shape and transmits tension. Along its outer edge runs the iliotibial tract, a thick band that connects the hip to the knee and stabilizes the leg during walking and running. Within the thigh, blood vessels and nerves travel alongside the muscles, The femoral artery delivers oxygen-rich blood to the region, while the femoral nerve carries signals that control motion and sensation. This constant communication between muscle, nerve, and blood creates a living system that responds instantly to the body's needs, contracting when we move, relaxing when we rest, adjusting moment by moment to maintain balance. The muscles of the thigh are built for both endurance and strength. They must support the body's weight throughout the day, absorbing the impact of every step and maintaining stability during motion. Yet they are also capable of explosive power, generating the energy needed for running, leaping, or climbing. This dual capacity for stillness and for action reflects the essence of human movement itself. Even in rest, the thigh muscles remain quietly engaged. The quadriceps and hamstrings sustain gentle tension to stabilize the knees, while the adductors help maintain alignment of the legs and pelvis. When lying down, they adjust subtly to the body's position, easing the joints into balance. This ever-present readiness ensures that motion can begin smoothly at any moment, without strain or hesitation. In the rhythm of walking, the muscles of the thigh perform a silent choreography. The quadriceps straighten the knee and lift the leg forward. The hamstrings guide it back and prepare for the next step. The adductors draw the legs into line, maintaining balance with each stride. This sequence repeats endlessly, effortlessly, throughout a lifetime. The thighs carry us across landscapes, up mountains, through forests, and down long city streets. They support us when we stand in stillness and propel us when we move through the world. To reflect on the muscles of the thigh is to see the embodiment of strength refined by grace. They are the great pillars of motion, steadfast yet supple, powerful yet obedient to control. Beneath their quiet rhythm lies the memory of every step ever taken, every climb, every leap, the patient, tireless endurance that sustains the body's journey. In their constant work, they reveal the harmony of movement that defines the human form. Strength that does not strain, motion that flows like breath, and balance that endures through every moment of life. 14. The muscles of the lower leg and feet. Below the powerful structure of the thigh lies a region of precision and endurance, the lower leg and the foot, where motion becomes balance and strength becomes subtle control. Every step we take, every shift of weight, and every contact with the ground is guided by the quiet coordination of the muscles in this part of the body. Though smaller in size than those of the thighs or hips, these muscles are among the most intricate and finely tuned in the human form. They transform the energy of the larger muscles above into measured, fluid motion, absorbing impact, propelling us forward, and maintaining equilibrium even across the most uneven ground. The lower leg is divided into compartments: anterior, posterior, and lateral, each containing muscles that work in harmony to control movement of the ankle, foot, and toes. These compartments are encased in a strong sheath of connective tissue known as the crural fascia, which keeps the muscles organized and stable as they contract. The actions they produce, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, inversion, and eversion, seem small in isolation, but combine to give us an extraordinary ability to adapt to every surface and every rhythm of motion. On the front of the leg, the anterior compartment holds the muscles responsible for lifting the foot and extending the toes. The most prominent of these is the tibialis anterior, a long, flat muscle that runs along the outer edge of the shin bone, or tibia. Its fibers extend downward to the top of the foot, where they insert near the arch. When it contracts, it lifts the front of the foot upward, a movement known as dorsiflexion. It also helps invert the foot, turning the sole slightly inward to maintain alignment and stability. This muscle works continuously, even during rest, maintaining the natural position of the foot and supporting the arch. Alongside it lie the extensor digitorum longus and the NTA, extensor hallucis longus. Their tendons fan out across the top of the foot, visible beneath the skin as fine cords that flex and release with every step. These extensors are essential for smooth walking, controlling the lowering of the foot to the ground and balancing the weight during transition from heel to toe. They act as guides, ensuring that each step lands softly and evenly. Moving to the outer side of the leg, the lateral compartment contains the fibularis longus and fibularis brevis, sometimes called the peroneal muscles. These two run along the fibula, the slender bone parallel to the tibia, and continue into the foot where their tendons wrap under the arch. Their primary function is eversion, turning the sole of the foot outward, but they also play a key role in stabilizing the ankle and maintaining balance on uneven terrain. The fibularis longus, in particular, forms a dynamic sling beneath the foot, supporting the transverse arch and helping distribute pressure evenly across the sole. Together, these muscles give the foot its adaptability, the ability to shift and correct position instantaneously to prevent falls. On the back of the leg lies the largest and most powerful group, the muscles of the posterior compartment. These include the gastrocnemius, soleus, and plantaris, which together form the bulk of the calf. The gastrocnemius, the most visible, has two prominent heads that rise from the femur and converge into the Achilles tendon, the thick cord that attaches to the heel bone. It is responsible for plantar flexion, the motion of pointing the toes downward, and provides the explosive force needed for jumping, running, and pushing off the ground. Beneath it, the soleus lies deeper and flatter, extending from the tibia and fibula to join the same tendon. Unlike the gastrocnemius, which acts primarily during quick, powerful movements, endurance, maintaining posture, and supporting the body's weight during standing and walking. Together, the gastrocnemius and soleus form what is often called the triceps surae, a powerful unit that works as the engine of locomotion. Each contraction lifts the heel from the ground, propelling the body forward in a steady, rhythmic cycle. The plantaris, a small, delicate muscle running alongside them, assists in this action and provides sensory feedback to the nervous system about the tension and position of the ankle. The coordination between these muscles is so refined that we rarely notice their effort, a seamless alternation of tension and release that continues from the first steps of childhood to the final walks of life. Deep within the posterior compartment lie additional muscles that control the finer motions of the foot and toes. The tibialis posterior, flexor digitorum longus, and flexor hallucis longus run along the inside of the leg, their tendons passing behind, inner ankle, and into the sole. The tibialis posterior supports the arch and inverts the foot, maintaining its natural curvature during weight bearing. The flexor digitorum longus bends the toes, providing grip and propulsion, while the flexor hallucis longus does the same for the great toe, contributing to the final push of each step. These deep muscles act as stabilizers, balancing the strength of the larger calf muscles with the fine control necessary for balance and agility. At the junction between the lower leg and the foot, a network of tendons, ligaments, and small muscles orchestrates the delicate movements required for walking, running, or standing still. The Achilles tendon, the strongest in the body, transmits the power of the calf muscles to the heel bone, enabling the spring-like motion of the foot. Around the ankle, other tendons form sheaths that guide movement smoothly and prevent friction, allowing for both stability and fluidity. The ligaments that bind the ankle bones together act as restraining cords, limiting excessive motion while permitting flexibility. The foot itself, a marvel of engineering, contains over 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments working together in silent cooperation. The intrinsic muscles of the foot are small but vital, controlling the fine adjustments that maintain the arches in balance. On the sole, the flexor digitorum brevis, abductor hallucis, and abductor digiti minimi form the first layer, aiding in gripping and spreading the toes. Deeper layers include the lumbricals and interossi, which help maintain balance and adapt to shifting surfaces. These tiny muscles allow for the subtle shifts of pressure that make standing possible without conscious effort, ensuring that the body's weight is distributed evenly across the foot. The arches of the foot medial, lateral, and transverse rely on the interplay of muscles and connective tissue for support. When we walk, they act like springs, absorbing shock and storing energy that is released during each step. The tibialis posterior and fibularis longus form a dynamic tension system that maintains these arches, while the intrinsic muscles adjust the shape of the foot moment by moment. This design allows the foot to be both firm and flexible, capable of bearing great weight yet adapting instantly to change. Even during stillness, the muscles of the lower leg and foot are never truly at rest. They maintain a subtle, continuous tension to stabilize the ankle and preserve posture. Each shift in balance, each minor adjustment of position, calls them into action. Their endurance is extraordinary. They work throughout every waking hour, and even in sleep they sustain the gentle tone that keeps the feet relaxed but ready. The coordination between the lower leg and foot is one of the body's most remarkable examples of precision. Every motion, from the lifting of the heel to the placement of the toes, requires split-second timing among dozens of muscles. The larger groups provide the power, while the smaller ones refine the motion, absorbing impact and ensuring balance. Nerves thread through this region in a complex web, carrying information to and from the brain with lightning speed. The slightest unevenness in the ground is sensed immediately, and the muscles respond before the conscious mind even registers it. To walk or run may seem effortless, yet behind each movement lies a vast choreography of muscular coordination. The lower leg and foot transform the body's strength into motion and connect us to the earth beneath our feet. They cushion, propel, and balance three roles intertwined in perfect harmony. Even in quiet moments, as the body stands in stillness, these muscles whisper their steady song of support, keeping us grounded and upright. To contemplate the muscles of the lower leg and feet is to see the essence of resilience and refinement. They are the silent foundation of motion, tireless and precise. In their work lies the poetry of movement, the rhythm of walking, the grace of balance, the enduring partnership between power and delicacy. They remind us that every step we take is an act of cooperation between countless tiny forces, each one working in perfect unity to carry us forward, gently and continuously, through the journey of life. 15. The role of tendons and attachments. Every movement of the human body, from the smallest gesture of a finger to the powerful stride of a leg, depends on a delicate and enduring partnership between muscle and bone. This partnership is made possible by tendons, the strong, fibrous cords that serve as the body's living anchors. Without them, the force generated by muscles would have nowhere to go. Energy would dissipate within soft tissue, and motion would lose its precision. The tendons, along with their points of attachment known as origins and insertions, form the bridge between intention and motion, the silent translators that convert contraction into movement. Though often overlooked, they are among the most resilient structures of the body, designed to endure immense tension and transmit force with perfect fidelity. A tendon may appear simple when viewed in isolation, a pale strand of tissue stretching from muscle to bone, yet within its structure lies an extraordinary design. Composed primarily of collagen, the most abundant protein in the human body, tendons are built in parallel bundles that align perfectly with the direction of force they must withstand. This arrangement gives them remarkable tensile strength, allowing them to bear loads that would tear other tissues apart. The fibers are surrounded by a thin sheath, the epitenon, which allows smooth gliding as the tendon moves within its housing. In some areas, such as around the wrist or ankle, tendons pass through tunnels lined with synovial fluid, natural lubrication that reduces friction during movement. These small, hidden adaptations enable continuous motion without wear, protecting the system through countless cycles of contraction and release. Every skeletal muscle attaches to bone at two main points: its origin and its insertion. The origin is the fixed attachment, anchored firmly to a stable bone or structure, while the insertion is the point that moves when the muscle contracts. The distance between these 2 points defines the muscle's range of motion, and the angle of their attachment determines how much force can be generated. This elegant geometry allows the body to convert small, precise contractions into larger, coordinated movements. For example, in the biceps brachii, the origin lies near the shoulder, while the insertion attaches to the radius in the forearm. When the muscle shortens, it pulls on the tendon, drawing the forearm upward in a smooth arc. The tendon does not contract itself. Rather, it acts as a transmitter, faithfully conveying the muscle's effort to the skeletal framework. Tendons also serve a vital role in storing and releasing energy. When a muscle contracts, as the muscle relaxes, the tendon recoils, returning that energy to the system. This mechanism enhances efficiency, particularly during repetitive movements such as walking, running, or jumping. The Achilles tendon, connecting the calf muscles to the heel bone, is a prime example. With each step, it stretches as the heel lifts from the ground, storing potential energy that is then released to propel the body forward. This process reduces the metabolic cost of movement, allowing humans to travel great distances without exhausting their muscles completely. The tendon becomes not merely a connector but an active participant in the rhythm of motion. The interplay between tendons and bones is governed by their specialized attachment points, where soft and hard tissues merge seamlessly. These junctions, known as entheses, are small marvels of biological engineering. At these sites, the tendon's collagen fibers gradually blend into the mineralized matrix of bone, creating a gradient of material that disperses stress and prevents tearing. This transition zone allows for flexibility where it is needed and rigidity where it is required. Over time, these attachment points adapt to the body's use, strengthening with repeated stress, aligning along new lines of tension, and even reshaping slightly to meet changing demands. It is a living system of continuous refinement, adjusting itself to the habits and movements of each individual. Throughout the body, tendons vary in length, thickness, and function depending on the mechanical demands placed upon them. Some, like those in the fingers and toes, others, like the patellar tendon beneath the kneecap, are broad and robust, built to withstand the heavy forces of jumping and running. The rotator cuff tendons in the shoulder are thin yet strong, guiding one of the body's most mobile joints through its wide range of motion while keeping it securely in place. This diversity reflects the intricate relationship between form and function, each tendon precisely tailored to its role, each adapting to the rhythm of the muscles it serves. Despite their strength, tendons are not rigid structures. They possess a subtle elasticity that protects both muscle and bone from sudden strain. When a muscle contracts sharply, the tendon stretches just enough to absorb part of the shock, preventing injury. This property is known as viscoelasticity, a combination of flexibility and resistance that gives tendons their ability to store and release energy smoothly. It is this quality that allows motion to flow without jarring or stiffness, turning abrupt impulses into graceful movement. These sheaths are lined with synovial membranes that secrete a thin fluid, much like oil in a machine. In the hands, wrists, and ankles, where tendons pass through narrow tunnels, these sheaths are essential. Without them, repeated motion would cause irritation and wear. The system is self-sustaining. Movement stimulates circulation within the sheath, keeping the tendon nourished and supple. This delicate balance of friction and lubrication allows for endless cycles of motion. Whether the action is the simple closing of a hand or the rhythmic stride of a runner, tendons are intimately connected to the nervous system as well. Embedded within them are sensory receptors known as Golgi tendon organs, which monitor tension and protect muscles from excessive force. When these receptors sense that a tendon is under too much strain, they send signals to the spinal cord that trigger the muscle to relax, preventing potential damage. This feedback loop operates constantly, adjusting muscle tone and force output in real time. It is part of the body's quiet intelligence, the system of unconscious regulation that ensures safety and efficiency in every movement. Over a lifetime, tendons bear immense stress yet adapt continuously. With regular use, they strengthen, their collagen fibers becoming denser and more organized. With inactivity, they weaken, losing some of their elasticity and resilience. Aging naturally brings changes as well. The fibers become less flexible and healing slows. Yet even in later years, tendons respond positively to gentle, consistent movement. Motion stimulates the production of new collagen and improves circulation, maintaining their vitality. The very act of moving keeps them alive and responsive, a reminder that the body thrives through rhythm and use. The relationship between tendons and muscles mirrors that between stillness and motion. The muscles generate power, but it is the tendons that focus and direct it. They serve as the silent intermediaries, translating effort into precision. Without them, movement would be chaotic. With them, it becomes graceful and controlled. They are the unseen lines that connect the body's structure into a unified whole, ensuring that every contraction, no matter how small, reaches its destination with clarity. When viewed in their entirety, tendons form an intricate web throughout the body, linking not only muscles and bones, but also regions and systems. The tension in one part of the body subtly influences others through this network of connective tissue. This principle, known as fascial continuity, explains how posture and movement are integrated, how a shift in the foot can affect the shoulder, how a slight imbalance in the hips can ripple through the entire form. In this sense, the tendons are not isolated cords, but strands of a single, continuous fabric that holds the human body together. Even in moments of complete rest, tendons maintain gentle tension, preserving the alignment of the skeleton. Their quiet presence ensures that the body does not collapse into itself but remains poised and ready. They are the bridges of the body, steadfast and silent, transmitting force, preserving form, and binding movement to structure. In their resilience lies a reflection of life itself, flexible yet strong, unassuming yet essential, forever carrying the dialogue between strength and stillness that defines the living human form. 16. Agonists, antagonists, and synergy. Within every graceful motion of the human body, there is a quiet conversation taking place between opposing and cooperating forces. Muscles do not act alone. They exist in relationships, pairs, and groups, each playing its own role in the harmony of movement. For every muscle that contracts, another must yield. For every force that pulls in one direction, another must balance it in return. This interplay between contraction and release, between motion and control, defines the living rhythm of the body. It is a dance of opposites, of agonists, antagonists, and synergists, woven into the very essence of movement. An agonist, sometimes called the prime mover, is the muscle primarily responsible for producing a particular action. When you bend your arm, for example, the biceps brachii acts as the agonist. Opposing it is the antagonist, in this case the triceps brachii, which lengthens to allow the movement to occur smoothly. These two muscles, though opposing, are partners in perfect coordination. If both were to contract equally, the arm would remain locked and still. If neither acted, there would be no motion at all. It is only through their balance, the precise timing of contraction and release, that fluid, controlled movement becomes possible. Throughout the body, this same principle governs every motion. In the legs, the quadriceps act as the agonists when straightening the knee, while the hamstrings serve as antagonists, gently releasing their tension. When bending the knee, their roles reverse. The hamstrings contract as the quadriceps yield. The constant alternation between these pairs creates the rhythm of walking and running, where each step depends on the seamless cooperation of muscles that know when to act and when to rest. In the trunk, Similar relationships exist between the abdominal muscles and the erector spinae of the back, between the flexors and extensors of the neck, and between the muscles that rotate the torso in opposite directions. Every movement of the body, no matter how complex, arises from the same foundation. One group pulling, another releasing, and together finding balance. The antagonist's role is not merely passive. It provides resistance that refines the action of the agonist, preventing abrupt or uncontrolled motion. This subtle opposition ensures that movements are smooth and precise rather than jerky or excessive. For instance, when lowering an object to the ground, the biceps, which acted as the agonist in lifting, now contracts slowly in a controlled lengthening, known as an eccentric contraction, while the triceps assists in guiding the descent. The muscles exchange roles in a fluid transition, their cooperation maintaining harmony through changing conditions. This constant adjustment between opposing groups gives the body its grace, conserving energy while protecting joints and tendons from strain. Between the agonist and antagonist lies another vital participant, the synergist. Synergists assist the prime mover, adding force or stabilizing joints to prevent unwanted movement. They are the quiet helpers of motion, ensuring that the agonist's effort is focused and effective. When you lift a cup to your lips, the biceps acts as the prime mover, but smaller muscles around the shoulder and forearm, the brachialis, brachioradialis, and deltoid work together as synergists, steadying the arm and guiding the motion. Without their support, the movement would be imprecise, wavering under the influence of gravity and inertia. The body's precision depends as much on these assisting muscles as on the larger ones that provide visible strength. Walking, for instance, is not the product of a single muscle, but a symphony of coordinated actions across the legs, hips, core, and back. As one leg moves forward, muscles in the opposite side of the torso counterbalance, maintaining alignment. The arms swing naturally in rhythm, their movements synchronized through reciprocal activation of agonists and antagonists across the shoulders. The nervous system orchestrates this coordination automatically, sending signals that activate each muscle at the perfect moment. The result is the effortless flow of motion that defines human movement, a pattern so well rehearsed that it continues even when the mind is at ease. At the heart of this system lies the principle of reciprocal inhibition, the neurological mechanism that allows agonists and antagonists to work together without conflict. When a muscle contracts, sensory signals travel through the spinal cord to inhibit its opposing partner, preventing it from resisting the motion. This reflexive process happens in fractions of a second, ensuring smooth transitions between contraction and relaxation. It is an ancient system of cooperation, shared by nearly all creatures that move. The same pattern that allows a human arm to flex also governs the motion of a bird's wing or a fish's fin. Across all of life, movement is achieved not by isolated force, but by balance between opposing actions. Some muscles, known as fixators, serve a different yet equally important purpose. They stabilize the base from which movement occurs, anchoring bones or joints so that the agonists can act effectively. When the biceps flexes the forearm, for instance, the muscles of the shoulder girdle, including the rotator cuff and trapezius, act as fixators, holding the shoulder steady. This quiet stability allows precision at the moving end. Without fixators, the force of the prime mover would scatter, causing inefficient or awkward motion. They are the still points in the body's dynamic landscape, providing the steadiness that makes graceful movement possible. The cooperation between agonists, antagonists, synergists, and fixators is one of the most elegant examples of balance in nature. Each muscle must know not only how to act, but also when to yield, how much to assist, and how firmly to stabilize. The nervous system monitors and adjusts these relationships continuously, sending signals that modulate the strength and timing of each contraction. This fine control allows for extraordinary adaptability, from the delicate movement of threading a needle to the explosive power of sprinting. In every case, the same underlying principle remains. Movement is harmony, and harmony depends on opposition in balance. Even in stillness, these relationships persist. The posture of standing upright, though seemingly effortless, involves constant communication among opposing muscle groups. The calf muscles and the tibialis anterior work together to keep the ankle steady, while the quadriceps and hamstrings balance tension around the knee. The muscles of the abdomen and back hold the spine erect, each one compensating for the other's pull. Tiny adjustments occur every second to prevent the body from swaying or collapsing. What appears to be rest is in truth a continuous, subtle dance of micro-movements, guided by the same principles that govern walking or lifting. The idea of synergy in the body extends beyond the physical. It reflects the deeper intelligence of the organism, a system in which every part works not in isolation but in relationship to others. The muscles do not compete. They cooperate, each contributing to the whole. Strength without control would be chaos. Control without strength would be paralysis. It is their interplay that creates the quiet grace of motion, the natural rhythm that makes movement seem effortless. Over time, the body refines these patterns through repetition and adaptation. Muscles that work together frequently become more efficient, their communication more precise. This is the basis of coordination, the gradual perfection of movement through practice. A dancer's poise, a craftsman's precision, or an athlete's agility all arise from this same principle. The nervous system learns to fine-tune the balance of agonists and antagonists, to engage synergists at just the right moment, to stabilize fixators without excess strain. Through this refinement, motion becomes not only effective but elegant, a seamless translation of thought into action. The relationships among these muscles are as dynamic as the movements they create. They shift with posture, with fatigue, with emotion. When the body tenses under stress, antagonistic muscles may tighten together, disrupting their natural rhythm. When the body relaxes, balance returns, and motion once again flows freely. This interplay mirrors the cycles of life itself: tension and release, action and stillness, effort and ease. To contemplate the roles of agonists, antagonists, and synergists is to glimpse the quiet intelligence that governs the body's every action. They remind us that strength and harmony are not opposites but partners, each giving meaning to the other. The muscles of the body, though countless and varied, share one purpose: to move in balance, to act in unity, to transform potential into motion. Beneath every gesture lies their unseen dialogue, the silent coordination of opposites that allows the body to move, to express, and to exist in effortless grace. 17. Energy for motion. Every movement of the human body, from the quiet lift of a hand to the long stride of a walk, depends on an invisible current of energy flowing through every cell. Beneath the surface of skin and muscle, within each microscopic fiber, countless chemical reactions occur in perfect coordination, converting stored nutrients into motion. This process is the foundation of all muscular activity, the silent alchemy through which food becomes force and breath becomes movement. Without it, even the simplest gesture would be impossible. The story of energy in the body is the story of life itself, a continuous transformation that sustains existence from moment to moment, day to day, breath to breath. Muscle tissue is unique among the body's structures because it can transform chemical energy into mechanical work. The source of this energy is a molecule called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. It is a small compound, yet its importance is vast, the universal currency of energy used by every living cell. When a muscle fiber contracts, it requires ATP to power the movement of the myosin heads along the actin filaments. Each cross-bridge cycle consumes one molecule of ATP, breaking its high-energy bond and releasing the stored energy that drives contraction. The byproduct of this reaction is adenosine diphosphate, or ADP, and inorganic phosphate. But ATP cannot be stored in large amounts. The muscle's reserves are limited and would last only a few seconds of intense activity. To continue moving, the body must constantly regenerate ATP, replenishing it almost as quickly as it is used. The body accomplishes this regeneration through several interconnected systems, each one suited to different types of activity. The first and fastest of these is the phosphagen system, sometimes called the creatine phosphate system. Within muscle cells lies a compound known as creatine phosphate, which serves as a quick energy reserve when ATP is broken down during contraction. The phosphate group from creatine phosphate is transferred to ADP, rapidly creating new ATP. This process occurs almost instantaneously, allowing muscles to maintain high-intensity effort for short bursts. The initial seconds of a sprint, a jump, or the lift of a heavy weight. However, the supply of creatine phosphate is limited, lasting only about 10 seconds before depletion. After that, the body must shift to slower but longer-lasting sources of energy. The next system, known as anaerobic glycolysis, takes over when the immediate stores are exhausted. This pathway breaks down glucose, a simple sugar derived from carbohydrates, to produce ATP without requiring oxygen. Inside the cytoplasm of the cell, glucose is converted into pyruvate through a series of enzymatic reactions, releasing small amounts of energy in the process. When oxygen is scarce, as during intense exertion, pyruvate is converted into lactic acid. Though lactic acid allows glycolysis to continue temporarily, its accumulation contributes to the familiar burning sensation in muscles and eventually leads to fatigue. Despite its limitations, anaerobic glycolysis provides a vital bridge between rapid, explosive movements and more sustained effort, keeping the muscles fueled for up to a few minutes of vigorous activity. For longer periods of activity, the body relies on a more efficient but slower system, aerobic respiration. This process takes place within the mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses of the cell. Here, glucose, fatty acids, and even amino acids can be broken down in the presence of oxygen to produce large quantities of ATP. The cycle begins with the oxidation of pyruvate, which enters the citric acid cycle and then the electron transport chain, a sequence of reactions that releases energy in small, controlled steps. This energy is used to form new molecules of ATP, while carbon dioxide and water are produced as harmless byproducts. Unlike anaerobic metabolism, which can operate briefly without oxygen, aerobic respiration depends entirely on a steady supply of oxygen delivered through the bloodstream. It is this system that powers endurance, the slow, rhythmic contraction of muscles during walking, swimming, or breathing. The efficiency of aerobic metabolism is remarkable. While anaerobic glycolysis produces only a few molecules of ATP per glucose molecule, aerobic respiration can generate more than 30. It also allows the body to utilize fat as a fuel source, tapping into vast energy reserves stored within adipose tissue. Fat oxidation is slower to begin, requiring more oxygen, but once active, it provides a nearly limitless source of energy for prolonged, moderate activity. This is why, during extended exercise or steady daily motion, the body gradually shifts from using carbohydrates to burning fat, a natural adaptation that conserves glycogen for times of higher demand. Oxygen itself becomes a central player in this continuous cycle, delivered through the breath and carried by hemoglobin in the blood. It reaches the muscle fibers through an intricate network of capillaries. Within the muscle, another molecule called myoglobin stores small amounts of oxygen, releasing it as needed during contraction. Myoglobin gives muscle its characteristic red color and ensures that even during brief interruptions in blood flow, such as during intense effort, the cells continue to receive the oxygen they require. This careful balance between supply and demand allows the body to sustain motion without interruption, adjusting seamlessly as conditions change. The regulation of energy systems is not a conscious act but a deeply coordinated process governed by the body's internal intelligence. The nervous system monitors activity levels and adjusts the balance between pathways in response to need. Hormones such as adrenaline, insulin, and glucagon play supporting roles, influencing how quickly energy stores are mobilized or replenished. During rest, the body rebuilds its reserves, synthesizing glycogen in the liver and muscles. During activity, these reserves are broken down in precise order, first using immediate phosphates, then carbohydrates, and finally fats, ensuring that the body always has the fuel it needs, regardless of intensity or duration. Every movement, no matter how gentle, carries a subtle energy cost. Even in stillness, muscles maintain a faint tone, requiring a continuous supply of ATP to sustain posture and circulation. The heart beats without pause. The lungs expand and contract, and countless invisible processes occur within cells, all powered by the same chemical source. This background activity forms the body's basal metabolism, the quiet current of energy that sustains life in its simplest form. From this steady baseline, motion arises as a graceful extension, increasing demand and then returning again to rest, like the ebb and flow of a tide. During exercise, as the body shifts between energy systems, heat is generated as a byproduct of metabolism. This warmth spreads through the muscles, dilating blood vessels and improving circulation. It is both a result of effort and a mechanism of protection, helping to maintain the proper temperature for enzymatic reactions. The skin, through its network of capillaries and sweat glands, releases excess heat into the air, keeping the body in equilibrium. In this way, the cycle of energy transforms not only chemistry into motion, but motion into balance, preserving the harmony of internal conditions that life depends upon. Fatigue is a natural part of this process, the body's signal that energy reserves are being depleted or that byproducts such as lactic acid are accumulating faster than they can be cleared. Yet fatigue is also a form of protection, preventing overexertion and allowing recovery. When the body rests, oxygen flow remains elevated for a time, clearing lactic acid and restoring energy stores. This phenomenon, known as oxygen debt repayment, is part of the restorative rhythm that follows exertion. Through rest, the body renews itself, preparing once again for motion. Over time, regular activity refines this entire system. The number of mitochondria within muscle fibers increases, capillary networks expand, and enzymes that process energy become more efficient. The heart grows stronger, pumping blood with greater ease, and the lungs deliver oxygen more effectively. These changes allow the body to perform more work with less effort, a quiet adaptation that speaks to the deep intelligence of living tissue. In this way, the cycle of energy and motion evolves with use, strengthening the connection between effort and endurance. At the most fundamental level, the flow of energy within the muscles mirrors the rhythm of life itself. It is a cycle of transformation, intake, conversion, and renewal that continues unceasingly. The food, goad, 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 we eat becomes fuel. The air we breathe becomes oxygen for combustion, and the resulting energy becomes movement, thought, and warmth. Even in stillness, this transformation continues, maintaining the delicate equilibrium that defines living existence. When we consider the energy that powers motion, we see not merely the chemistry of molecules, but the poetry of balance, a system that gives rise to motion through perfect order. Every heartbeat, every breath, every step is a quiet miracle of conversion, a moment where the invisible becomes tangible. Within each muscle fiber, ATP is created, used, and created again. And so the energy for motion flows on, a current of life beneath all activity, steady and unbroken, sustaining the harmony of strength and stillness that defines the human form. 18. Posture, balance, and muscle tone. Every moment that the human body remains upright, poised, and steady, there is an orchestra of muscles working quietly beneath the surface. They contract and release in patterns so subtle that they rarely draw attention, yet their coordination sustains the most fundamental aspect of physical existence: posture. Whether standing tall, sitting at rest, or lying in stillness, posture reflects the balance between strength and relaxation, between the pull of gravity and the body's unceasing effort to rise against it. This silent equilibrium, maintained continuously and often unconsciously, depends on the enduring presence of muscle tone, the gentle, ongoing tension that gives the body its shape, its readiness, and its grace. Posture is more than a static position. It is a living state of balance that responds to every breath and every shift of weight. The body is never truly still. Even when one appears at rest, the muscles are in constant communication, making minute adjustments to counter gravity, to prevent collapse, and to keep the head, trunk, and limbs aligned. This balance begins at the base of the body, in the feet and legs, and rises through the pelvis, spine, and shoulders to the crown of the head. Each joint and muscle contributes its own part to the structure, transmitting forces smoothly from the ground upward. Proper posture allows these forces to travel efficiently through the skeleton, minimizing strain and conserving energy. It is a dynamic harmony in which motion and stillness coexist, one sustaining the other. At the core of this system lies the spine, the flexible column that serves as both the body's central support and the conduit for its nervous system. The spinal curves, gentle and natural, distribute weight evenly and absorb shock. Surrounding this central axis are layers of muscles that act as stabilizers, holding each vertebra in alignment while allowing for movement and rotation. The deep spinal muscles, such as the multifidus and erector spinae, contract subtly to keep the back erect. The abdominal muscles, including the transverse abdominis and obliques, counterbalance their pull, ensuring that the spine neither overarches nor collapses. This quiet interplay of opposing forces gives the body its upright grace, strength without rigidity, stability without stiffness. The pelvis serves as the keystone of posture, linking the upper body to the legs. It must tilt, rotate, and adjust constantly to maintain balance. Muscles such as the gluteals, hip flexors, and deep pelvic floor muscles work together to hold the pelvis in a neutral position, allowing the spine to stack naturally above it. When this alignment is maintained, the body's weight flows downward through the hips, knees, and feet in a straight, balanced line. Even slight deviations, a forward tilt, a rounded back, a lifted shoulder create subtle shifts in tension that ripple through the entire structure. The body compensates instinctively, engaging muscles elsewhere to restore equilibrium. Thus, posture is not the work of one region, but of the whole body acting as a single, coordinated unit. Muscle tone plays the quiet role of maintaining this unity. Tone is the baseline level of tension present in muscles even when they are at rest. It is not a conscious contraction, but a natural state of readiness maintained by the nervous system. Through continuous feedback between the muscles and the spinal cord, the body adjusts tone moment by moment, responding to gravity, position, and intention. This constant, gentle tension provides both stability and responsiveness. It keeps the joints supported, the limbs poised for motion, and the posture aligned without conscious thought. Without tone, the body would collapse under its own weight, unable to sustain form. With too much tone, it would become rigid and unable to move freely. True balance lies in the middle ground, a state of ease where tone provides quiet support without strain. The regulation of muscle tone is a delicate collaboration between the brain, spinal cord, and sensory receptors within the muscles and tendons. When a muscle stretches, the spindle sends a signal to the spinal cord to increase contraction, preventing overstretching and maintaining stability. When tension grows too great, the Golgi receptors signal relaxation, protecting the tissue from injury. This feedback loop functions automatically, keeping the body balanced through constant, microscopic adjustments. Every movement, no matter how small, is guided by this network of responses, a living dialogue between perception and action that operates far below awareness. Balance, like posture, is both physical and sensory. It depends not only on the muscles, but also on the inner ear, the eyes, and the proprioceptive system, the body's internal sense of position. Within the inner ear, tiny structures called semicircular canals and otoliths detect motion and orientation, sending signals to the brain about shifts in head position. The eyes provide visual confirmation of the horizon, while sensors in the muscles and joints relay information about pressure and alignment. The brain integrates all of this input in real time, adjusting muscle activity instantly to maintain stability. When you stand on one leg or walk across uneven ground, this system works continuously, coordinating subtle shifts in tension across the entire body. Balance, therefore, is not a single act of control, but a constant, fluid negotiation between body and environment. The muscles of the legs and feet are especially vital in this process. They form the foundation upon which posture rests, adjusting to the smallest changes in terrain or body position. The calves contract gently to steady the ankle, the thighs maintain alignment of the knees, and the gluteal and hip muscles stabilize the pelvis. Higher up, the back and abdominal muscles respond in kind, fine-tuning the alignment of the spine. Even the neck plays a part, keeping the head balanced over the shoulders. This vertical chain of corrections occurs seamlessly, creating the illusion of stillness while countless micro-movements ripple through the body every second. Posture is not merely mechanical. It reflects emotion and consciousness as well. The way the body stands, sits, or moves often mirrors the state of the mind. Confidence lifts the chest and opens the shoulders, while fatigue or sadness may draw the body inward. These patterns, when repeated, become habitual, shaping the muscles and influencing long-term alignment. Conversely, the act of improving posture can influence the mind, promoting calm, alertness, and ease of breath. When the body is aligned, the diaphragm moves freely, the lungs expand fully, and circulation flows without obstruction. In this way, posture is not only the result of physical coordination, but also a reflection of balance within. Muscle tone also changes with emotion and state of mind. Stress and tension often lead to elevated tone. The shoulders tighten, the jaw clenches, the lower back stiffens. Relaxation, on the other hand, allows tone to soften, restoring fluidity to movement. Practices that emphasize awareness of posture, such as gentle stretching, slow breathing, or mindful movement, help reset this balance by calming the nervous system. Through awareness and stillness, the body can return to its natural state, poised but not rigid, supported but not strained. Throughout life, posture evolves and adapts. In youth, the muscles are supple and tone is naturally balanced. With age or inactivity, certain muscles may weaken while others tighten, leading to misalignments and discomfort. Yet the capacity for balance never disappears. It simply requires attention and gentle renewal. Movement, even slow and deliberate, nourishes muscle tone, strengthens stabilizers, and restores harmony between opposing forces. The body, like an SBA instrument, must be tuned through use. Its equilibrium maintained through continuous rhythm. In sleep, posture and tone change but do not vanish. As consciousness fades, the muscles gradually relax, yet a baseline tension remains, ensuring that the body maintains alignment and breath flows freely. The postural muscles, particularly those along the spine and neck, sustain the quiet work of support. Even in dreams, the dialogue between balance and gravity continues, a reminder that life itself depends on this steady rhythm of tension and release. To understand posture, balance, and muscle tone is to perceive the body's quiet intelligence. Every movement, every stillness, is guided by their partnership, an unending cycle of adjustment and awareness that allows the body to live in harmony with its environment. Posture gives form to strength, tone gives strength to stillness, and balance unites them in motion. Beneath the surface of every calm stance and effortless step lies a world of coordination so intricate that it seems almost invisible. Yet it is this hidden balance that gives the human body its enduring grace, the ability to stand tall against gravity, to move with ease through space, and to embody the perfect equilibrium between power and serenity. 19. Growth, repair, and adaptation. The human body is not a static structure, but a living system in constant renewal. Every cell within it is engaged in cycles of breakdown and repair, of destruction and creation, all guided by the quiet intelligence of biological adaptation. Nowhere is this rhythm more visible than in the muscles. With every movement, every effort, and every moment of rest, the muscles change, responding to the demands placed upon them, repairing themselves when strained, and growing stronger or more efficient over time. The muscles of the human body are dynamic by nature, evolving continuously to support the ever-shifting balance between motion, rest, and the forces of the world around them. At the heart of muscular adaptation lies a principle both simple and profound: stress, followed by recovery. When a muscle is challenged by lifting, walking, stretching, or even maintaining posture, its fibers experience microscopic strain. These tiny disruptions within the muscle's structure are not signs of harm but of learning. In response to them, the body activates a cascade of repair processes designed to rebuild what has been used. Within hours of activity, satellite cells, specialized stem cells that lie dormant along the muscle fiber, awaken. They migrate to the areas of stress, fuse with existing fibers, and begin synthesizing new proteins to replace and reinforce what has been worn. Over the next days, this rebuilding creates a slightly stronger, more resilient muscle than before. This process, known as hypertrophy, is the physical manifestation of adaptation, the body's way of preparing for future challenges by strengthening the very tissues that endured them. Even at rest, muscles are never idle. They are in a constant state of turnover, balancing the synthesis and degradation of proteins. When the balance leans toward synthesis, the muscle grows. When degradation dominates, it weakens and atrophies. This balance is influenced by many factors: physical activity, nutrition, hormones, and even the rhythm of sleep. Adequate protein and energy intake provide the raw materials for repair, while hormones such as growth hormone, testosterone, and insulin-like growth factor serve as signals that direct the rebuilding process. Sleep, often overlooked, is the period when much of this restoration occurs, when blood flow increases, tissue oxygenation improves, and the body channels its energy inward, mending the microscopic wear of the day. Adaptation is not limited to growth in size or strength. The muscles also refine their endurance, coordination, and metabolic efficiency. With repeated use, the body increases the number of mitochondria within muscle fibers, allowing them to produce energy more effectively. Capillary networks expand, improving the delivery of oxygen and nutrients. Enzymes involved in energy metabolism become more active, allowing the muscle to sustain effort longer with less fatigue. These subtle internal changes often go unnoticed, yet they are what allow a person to walk farther, lift heavier, or move with greater ease over time. They are the quiet expressions of the body's memory, each repetition recorded in tissue, each movement leaving its trace in strength and skill. Not all adaptation comes from exertion. In moments of rest, the body also learns how to preserve energy and maintain balance. When muscles are unused for extended periods, their fibers begin to shrink, conserving resources in a process known as atrophy. The proteins within the muscle break down faster than they are replaced, and the fibers lose some of their capacity for force and endurance. Yet even this process reflects the body's wisdom. It conserves energy when effort is no longer required. The same adaptability that allows for growth in times of activity allows for conservation in times of stillness. The system adjusts continually, finding equilibrium between the demands of motion and the need for rest. Injury, too, becomes part of this cycle. When a muscle or tendon is damaged beyond the level of ordinary strain, the body initiates a series of repair mechanisms to restore integrity. The process begins with inflammation, a brief and purposeful swelling that brings immune cells and nutrients to the site. These cells clear away damaged tissue, signaling for the formation of new fibers and connective tissue. Over time, scar tissue forms, bridging the gap between healthy areas and reinforcing the structure. With gentle movement and gradual use, the new tissue aligns with the old, regaining flexibility and strength. Though the process may be slow, it is guided by precision, each phase unfolding in perfect sequence from protection to repair, from stiffness to renewed motion. When a person learns a new movement, whether lifting a weight or playing an instrument, the changes do not occur in muscle alone. The nervous system refines its control, improving the timing, coordination, and efficiency of muscle activation. Pathways between brain and muscle become more synchronized. Unnecessary contractions are eliminated. Effort becomes fluid and precise. Over time, what once required conscious concentration becomes instinctive. This process, called motor learning, reflects another kind of growth, the deepening harmony between mind and body. It is through this adaptation that physical skill transforms into art and movement becomes effortless expression. The resilience of the muscular system is matched only by its sensitivity. It responds not just to physical demand, but also to the subtler influences of emotion and environment. Stress, for example, can alter the body's chemistry, shifting hormones and tension patterns that affect recovery. Chronic tension may limit circulation, slowing repair, while calm and relaxation can enhance it. Gentle stretching, rhythmic breathing, and periods of rest all contribute to the balance that allows muscles to renew themselves fully. The body, like any living system, heals best in an atmosphere of peace, when energy can flow freely toward restoration rather than defense. Age brings its own rhythm to this process. As time passes, the rate of repair and regeneration naturally slows. Muscle fibers shrink slightly, and the balance between synthesis and breakdown shifts. Yet the capacity for adaptation never disappears. Regular, moderate activity continues to stimulate growth and renewal, even in later years. Muscles remain capable of change, capable of learning and strengthening, as long as they are used. The principle of adaptation endures. Use sustains, function, movement, nourishes life. The human form is designed to remain dynamic, flexible, and responsive, no matter its age. The connective tissues surrounding muscles, tendons, ligaments, and fascia also adapt to the demands of use. With repeated tension, their collagen fibers align more precisely along lines of force, becoming both stronger and more elastic. The flow of fluids within these tissues improves, bringing nourishment and removing waste. Even bones respond, thickening in areas of stress, maintaining density through the gentle pressure of movement. The entire musculoskeletal system operates as one integrated whole, each part reinforcing the others through shared effort. This unity of adaptation ensures that the body evolves as a complete organism, not in fragments, but in harmony. Recovery is as essential as activity. It is during rest that the fruits of effort take form, when microscopic repairs consolidate into strength and fatigue transforms into readiness. The pauses between exertion are not idle, they are moments of reconstruction. The quiet rhythms of sleep and relaxation allow the body's internal architects to rebuild, layer by layer, what motion has refined. This balance between strain and restoration, between effort and ease, defines the cycle of adaptation. The body thrives not through constant work, but through rhythm, the alternation of motion and stillness that mirrors the larger patterns of nature. At a deeper level, growth and repair within the muscles are a reflection of life's most fundamental truth: resilience. Every fiber of the human form carries the capacity to recover, to adapt, and to strengthen in response to experience. Even the smallest act of movement participates in this larger rhythm, the continuous renewal of form and function. The muscles remember, not through thought but through structure, adjusting themselves to meet the needs of the moment. In this quiet, ongoing conversation between stress and restoration, the body learns what it needs to become stronger, steadier, and more balanced. To reflect on muscular growth and adaptation is to see the wisdom of the body revealed. It does not strive for perfection in an instant. It evolves gradually, learning through repetition and recovery. It honors both effort and rest, both challenge and calm. Within this rhythm lies the secret of endurance, the body's ability to rebuild itself endlessly, transforming the wear of living into the strength of being. And so, with every breath, every movement, and every night of stillness, the human form renews itself, carrying forward the quiet miracle of life's capacity to adapt. 20. The symphony of movement. Every moment of human life unfolds through movement, from the smallest pulse within a single cell to the graceful coordination of hundreds of muscles. The body expresses itself through motion. Even in stillness, the essence of movement remains, hidden within the quiet rhythm of breath, the beating of the heart, and the continual renewal of cells. Beneath the surface, a harmony of systems works together: the skeletal framework, providing structure, the muscles generating force, the tendons transmitting motion, and the nervous system conducting the entire performance. When viewed as a whole, this cooperation becomes a symphony, a living orchestra in which every part of the body plays its role with perfect timing and balance. The symphony of movement begins in the mind, where intention takes form. Before a muscle ever contracts, the brain sends a signal, an impulse of electrical energy that travels down the spinal cord and along nerves, reaching the muscle fibers in fractions of a second. This spark is translated into chemical change: calcium flooding the muscle cells, actin and myosin filaments sliding past one another, and tension turning into motion. It is an event so small that it cannot be seen by the eye, yet multiplied billions of times. It becomes walking, speaking, dancing, reaching, and breathing. Thought becomes action through this invisible language of energy and coordination, linking mind and body in continuous conversation. Each muscle in the body contributes its own part to this orchestration. Some, like the quadriceps and gluteals, provide the deep, resonant power that drives movement forward. Others, like the small muscles of the eyes and hands, play finer notes of control and precision. The large and small, the strong and subtle, all coexist in mutual support. When one contracts, another relaxes. When one lifts, another steadies. This interplay of agonists and antagonists, of stabilizers and synergists, ensures that movement flows smoothly rather than in sharp, disjointed bursts. The harmony between these forces allows for the elegance of a dancer's step, the effortless reach of an arm, or the still balance of standing upright. The skeleton serves as the framework upon which this symphony is built. Joint as a pivot, and the muscles as the cords that pull and guide them. The tendons transmit these forces with perfect accuracy, allowing the motion of contraction to translate into movement of the limbs. Ligaments and fascia provide cohesion, holding the structure together without restricting its flexibility. The entire body is bound by a network of tension and release, so well balanced that even the act of standing requires countless muscles to engage and relax in delicate coordination. Through this system, gravity, motion, and energy find equilibrium, a silent choreography that continues throughout every moment of life. The rhythm of movement mirrors the rhythm of nature. The heartbeat rises and falls like a drum marking time. The breath flows in and out like waves against the shore, and the alternating contractions of muscles create a cadence that echoes through the body. Walking, for instance, is a perfect example of this rhythm in action. Lift and propel the body forward, while those of the opposite side release in preparation for the next step. The arms swing naturally in counterbalance, maintaining harmony and poise. This pattern, repeated thousands of times each day, reflects the deep connection between rhythm and motion, a reminder that movement is not just mechanical, but musical, unfolding in time with the natural tempo of the living body. Coordination is the conductor of this symphony. It ensures that every muscle plays its part at the right moment and with the right intensity. The nervous system acts as the unseen maestro, receiving information from the senses and adjusting each motion instantaneously. The eyes provide direction, the inner ear informs balance, and the proprioceptors within muscles and joints communicate position and tension. These signals converge in the brain, where decisions are made faster than thought, allowing movement to occur with effortless grace. It is this coordination that enables the body to adapt to uneven ground, to catch a falling object, or to adjust posture during a gust of wind. The precision of this control is so complete that it allows for both strength and subtlety, for the power of a leap and the delicacy of a smile. Energy fuels every note of this performance. Within each muscle cell, ATP is broken down and regenerated, releasing the power that drives contraction. The circulatory system supplies oxygen and nutrients, carrying them through a vast network of vessels, while the lungs draw in air to sustain the process. The exchange of gases, the delivery of blood, the electrical signals from nerves, all flow together like instruments blending in harmony. The metabolism of each cell contributes its own quiet hum to the whole. This flow of energy unites the smallest scale of the microscopic world with the grand motion of the body in space. Balance adds another layer of depth to this harmony. It allows the body to remain upright and centered, adjusting continually to shifts in weight or motion. Muscles throughout the legs, back, and core engage in subtle counteractions, keeping the center of gravity aligned over the base of support. This ability to balance is not just mechanical, it is a reflection of inner steadiness. When balance is maintained, the body moves with fluidity, conserving energy and avoiding strain. Even when motion appears complex or rapid, it remains grounded in this stable equilibrium, a constant return to center after every deviation. In the quiet moments of rest, the symphony softens but does not cease. The heart continues to beat, the diaphragm rises and falls, and the muscles maintain gentle tone to preserve posture and alignment. During sleep, the body turns inward, using the same energy that drives movement to repair and renew. The same systems that create motion during waking hours now turn to restoration, mending fibers, replenishing energy, stores, and reinforcing connections within the nervous system. Even in stillness, there is rhythm, the rhythm of recovery, the soft undertone that prepares the body for the next performance of motion. Emotion also finds its expression within this symphony. Joy lifts the chest and opens the shoulders. Sorrow draws the body inward. Calmness softens the face and eases the breath. Muscles are not only mechanical instruments, but also mirrors of inner life. They respond instantly to feeling, shaping posture, gesture, and tone. The fluidity of movement reflects emotional harmony, just as stiffness often mirrors tension within. The connection between body and mind is complete, inseparable strands of the same melody that plays through all human experience. Over time, this symphony of movement becomes a story of memory and adaptation. Each repetition strengthens the pathways between nerve and muscle, refining coordination until action becomes instinct. A child, learning to walk, wobbles in irregular rhythm. But with practice, those uncertain steps become fluent, balanced, and musical. The same pattern continues through life as the body learns new motions, perfects skills, and adjusts to change. Movement, in this way, becomes an art form shaped by time, by repetition, and by the continuous dialogue between effort and grace. The harmony of the muscular system does not end with the body's outer form. It extends inward, linking every motion to the breath and every breath to the pulse of life itself. The diaphragm, though a single muscle, embodies this connection, perfectly contracting to draw in air, releasing to let it go, sustaining the rhythm upon which all others depend. Through its steady movement, oxygen reaches the muscles, fueling every contraction and maintaining every tone. This partnership between breath and muscle forms the foundation of life's symphony, an unbroken rhythm that carries through every moment of existence. When we step back to view a human body as a whole, we see a masterpiece of natural engineering and beauty. Thousands of muscles, bones, and tissues interact in seamless unity, transforming will into action and energy into motion. The systems of the body, nervous, circulatory, respiratory, and muscular, intertwine like instruments in a grand composition. Each note, each movement, contributes to the greater harmony, creating the flow of life that continues from birth to rest. In the end, the symphony of movement is the story of connection, of how countless parts work together to create one living whole. Every heartbeat, every breath, every gesture adds to this music, playing out through a lifetime of motion and renewal. Even in quiet moments, the melody continues, soft and unbroken, resonating through every fiber. It is a song that has no beginning and no end, only an ever-flowing rhythm, the sound of life expressed through motion, the harmony of the human body sustained in its eternal dance between strength and stillness.